Next on America's Day of the Races, it's the Friday card from Aqueduct Racetrack in New York with Derby points on the line this weekend. Leading contender is appropriately named. He's without question the horse to beat in today's feature from the Big A for Top Connections. Meanwhile, Brad Cox, he'll send out a quartet of runners in Saturday's Gotham who will prove they're worthy to remain on the Kentucky Derby trail. Just a touch could be that horse for the two-time Eclipse Award-winning trainer. His debut was eye-catching. Can he be as dominant in his stakes debut going on longer distance? And we'll take you to Hot Springs, Arkansas for live coverage from Oaklawn Park, including a strong feature of three-year-old sprinters. All that and more coming up on this Friday edition of America's Day at the Races. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Traffic's never that light in New York, but enjoy that shot while you got it. Good to have you with us on this Friday afternoon. We get set for a big weekend coming up, including the Grade 3 Gotham here in New York on the road to this year's Kentucky Derby. And yes, two-time Eclipse Award-winning trainer Brad Cox will send out 4 runners in that race. We'll have a preview of that one coming up. 50 points to the winner of that race to get into the starting gate for this year's Kentucky Derby. Not just that race, terrific card on tap for Saturday. And we still have the late pick 4 ahead. On Friday action as well, fast going here in South Ozone Park, New York, as we take a look at what's ahead. Presented by Claiborne Farm. Races 5 through 8 comprise that late pick 4, including that featured allowance race with leading contender. And we'll take you to Hot Springs, Arkansas. They are fast as well at Oaklawn Park. Bring you to late pick 5 with that featured 9th race with those 3-year-old sprinters. Greg Wolf, New York Racing Association handicapper. Andy Serling, good to be with you as we get set for a big weekend coming up.
I agree. Gotham weekend, always a great weekend here. It feels like it's a doorway towards the spring. We're still a couple of weeks away from the official start of spring, but the Gotham always feels like that start, and it's our second to last prep race as we head towards the Wood Memorial, and it came up an excellent race as it has pretty much every year.
Well, this feature we have to actually close out this card on this Friday afternoon. Looking forward to this one. It's a very good group assembled. Leading contender for Chad Brown. He'll have Manny Franco aboard for Klarovich Stables. 9 to 5 morning line. Either of the last 2 races he's put together, does that mean the rest of this field's in trouble?
Yeah, I think he was badly compromised in his last race. Because the rail was very strong, Manny Franco had to ride him to get in the race, and it's not really the way he's most comfortable. And not only did he never see the rail at any point in the race, he was always in a sort of bad spot between horses, vying the whole way, and Manny really had to ride him, and it cost him his best chance to win. The winner was able to get a perfect trip and come up towards the inside as everyone drifted. I think No Burn ran very, very well last time, and he's the only horse that has recent races that may give him a chance to beat leading contender. The leading contender is the one to beat.
He's Red and White Silks right there. That 6 horse going to come up just short here in a runner-up finish. Wet track. He'll get fast going today as he tries to pick up the 3rd win of his career. But he does, as you mentioned, have a serious rival right next door to him in this horse. No Burn. Dylan Davis will be aboard.
And he's done some of his better running on wet tracks, but he's run very well on dry tracks before as well. But this was an excellent performance, narrowly beaten by Law Professor. Now, it was Law Professor's return, but Law Professor came back in his next start with an excellent win going a mile. He finishes ahead of Olympic Dreams here, who's a very, very solid contender. And I just think he's run those races, so I put him on top just because I thought he'd be a much better price. But like you, I think it's going to be very tough to beat leading contender.
Well, looks like it goes through these 2. 1 1/8 allowance optional claiming race, the feature to close out the action on this Friday card. We'll work our way toward that race coming up. And of course, you can play all the action by getting signed up started with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. The offer, that $200 deposit match new customer bonus. We switched it up as well. The new code, bonus 200, to take advantage of that offer. Again, right there at NairaBets.com. We're going to take a timeout. Still to come. We'll look deeper into that Gotham where Brad Cox will send out 4 runners in that race. Maybe the best of that bunch. Likely race just a touch. Very impressive first time out sprinting. Now it's going to stretch out to a mile and just start number 2. Laurent Giroux will be in town to ride. We'll have a preview ahead. Back with you on our FS1 coverage on this Friday afternoon, brought to you in part where you can play all the racing at Naira Bets. Go to nairabets.com. This weekend coming up, our ABR Race of the Week. We touched on it in the open, Grade 3 Gotham. We'll see if any of these horses turn out to be Derby contenders. We cut back a little bit in distance to this one-turn mile. Could be the case. And, of course, Brad Cox looks like he's going to have a strong hand.
Touch and Bergen among his two that look like very good horses. Bergen's, has more experience with the win in Jimmy Winkfield and feels like a mile should be fine for him. Just a Touch obviously has some talent. I think if you see a major Derby contender come from this race, it's going to be the 3 Deterministic.
All right, we'll get to him in a moment. Let's start with the Brad Cox runners and Just a Touch. Just that one start, it was a wet track, sloppy sealed going at Fairgrounds, 1-2, and he did what fans thought he was going to do.
It's amazing, these Justifies. They just continue to run well here and in Europe. He was very, very good. He's got a very nice way of going. He handled a wet track, which he'll likely face on Saturday's card. He didn't break that sharply. He needs to break sharply in this Gotham. Horses get themselves in trouble. They get left even a little bit, especially in big fields. But he was good. The problem I have with him from a gambling standpoint is he's probably a 7-2 to 9-2 shot, and he's going to end up going off around 2-1 because the public loves horses like this. And I absolutely think he's the horse to beat, but I don't think I want to bet him at 2-1.
He might wind up being the most talented horse in here, but in your second start, going into graded stake company, trying to route a ground for the first time, that's asking a lot.
And it feels like the pace could be pretty quick in here. I mean, without Slider, a little of the speed's gone. Now, he might be the speed of the speed, but I don't think he's going to be the speed of the speed without running pretty quickly to get there.
Well, multiple winner that he is going to face happens to be his stablemate. That is Bergen, who you mentioned, won that Jimmy Winkfield, also on a muddy, sealed track. It was wet going that day, January 27th, for Brad Cox.
And he has the ability to stalk a little bit, so he doesn't need to lead to win. So it feels like he'll fit very well in here. And this was a nice win for him. Do I think he'll have to get better to win this Gotham? In all likelihood, yes. But I don't think there's any reason that he can't do that. And he's run well in all of his starts. I don't think he's a brilliant horse. I think he's sort of a more workman-like horse, but I also think he's a contender in this race. And he has the experience, and a lot of the best, potentially best horses in here lack experience. Horses coming off of maiden wins.
So this will be start number 4 for him. He did go a mile in his second start. Got bumped around a little bit, had a wide trip.
He stole your ball, Greg.
Give it back, Bergen. That's my stop, too, on the subway. Hunch play.
That's right. There you go.
Manny Franco.
You ever go to Carroll Street?
Well, that's technically my stop. That's where I should get off. Manny Franco for Brad Cox again. That's just 2 of the 4 he's going to send out in that race. Glad to have her with us, stopping in to see us this weekend. Acacia Clement with more on the Withers. Hi, Acacia.
Hey, Greg, and I'm very happy to be here with you guys, who I get to hear throughout the winter, but don't get to see very often. And I'm very thankful that it's sunny here at Aqueduct today. But talking about Brad Cox and his strong chances, the 4th of his runners is Lightline, who's one of 4 that are coming out of trying the Withers last time out. And Lightline was actually the favorite in that Withers, but El Grande O was the one that had finished ahead of him, setting the pace. All of them nabbed late by Uncle Heavy, who is bypassing this Gotham to wait for the Wood Memorial. And one thing that is a little bit different as far as this Kentucky Derby Prep Series here in New York is that we have the Withers at 1 1/8 miles, and then the Gotham cuts back to 1 mile. And it really encourages horsemen to not skip the middle race, so to speak, which you do see sometimes. And as a result, you have, as you guys were mentioning, some maiden runners, layoff horses who are maybe stretching out, or some that are cutting back in distance. And this is a really good opportunity in this Gotham to see where some of those lightly raced horses really do fit and what they could potentially do moving on to this Kentucky Derby trail. So we'll see if the horses cutting back in distance from the Gotham, or into this Gotham, I should say, from the Withers can have any sort of impact. We certainly know the fitness wouldn't be an issue there, Greg.
Couple of runners, thank you, Acacia, from the Clement barn showing up at this Grade 3 Gotham as well. That's some that looked sensational, especially deterministic, in that debut at Saratoga last summer.
He was an unusual maiden winner. Most maiden winners that are impressive, their 2-year-old starts, they're speed-type horses, they're forwardly placed. He didn't break well in there. He was a little bit green, bounced around, and it was a fast race. To get an 81 buyer in a 7-furlong race early in August, that's an impressive accomplishment, and to win in that manner is something you don't see. He had a little bit of an issue that kept him out the rest of the year, but he's back. He's training well. He was training well with the winner of last Pandagate, the winner of last week's stake, who got an 86 buyer. And I think Deterministic is a very, very good horse. Now, whether or not he can have a crash course in a race like this, head to the Wood Memorial and the Derby, is another question. But I think Deterministic is a horse we're going to hear a lot from, whether it's in the Gotham or later in the year.
Part of our Saturday coverage. We hope you join us. Grade 3 Gotham on America's Day of the Races. Meanwhile, we have Andy Serling to thank for this little Gotham trivia.
Actually, I stole this from Rob McClellan in our racing office. I don't want to take the full credit for it. Well, but I appreciate that.
What 5 Breeders' Cup winners finished in the top 3 in the Gotham? It's a little bit of a trick question, too.
Well, I mean, it's a tough question because you're going back a long ways. You got to think back to the beginning of the Breeders' Cup, and you have to look at different Breeders' Cup races. A couple of them might be fairly obvious, but some of them were very, very tough to get. I asked some friends of mine who have been around racing for a long time. Travis Stone stumped by a couple of these. And I thought it was I like these questions. They're fun.
What's our winner get?
By the way, let me just say something. They are at least 3, if not 4 of them, are extremely well-known horses. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
If you get all 5 within 10 seconds, within 5 minutes, well, people will look. You see, don't cheat. Tell me on Twitter, but don't cheat.
Everyone already found.
And you get dinner with Greg Wolf.
Is that
wherever you want to go?
Is that true?
Greg, what's that place you like in Brooklyn Heights? It was what kind of ethnic food was it? You said it was great.
In Brooklyn Heights.
Yeah, did you go to dinner? You were complaining to me, and then you said it was really great.
Oh,
Wasn't like Ethiopia. No, it wasn't Ethiopian.
Yeah,
something interesting.
I'll get it for you when we come back from a break. Yeah, it was actually very good, and I was not looking forward to it. We're going to have a live action from Hot Springs when we come back. We'll check it with Paul LaDuca right after a break. Stay tuned.
Olympiad leads American Revolution. Olympiad gets the gold in the Jockey Club Gold Cup.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets. Down to the wire, Verstappen. Here's the finish, Ancient Roll.
War Bomber's won the King Edward.
Steel Team has won the Twilight Derby.
Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on America's Day of the Races on our FS1 coverage. It's brought to you by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Live coverage from Aqueduct and Oaklawn coming up on this Friday program. And we'll take you to Hot Springs, Arkansas. By those sitting on the edge of their seat waiting to hear Georgian food. The answer to where I went.
Georgian
Loved
food?
it.
Really? No, you told me it was great. You didn't want to admit because you were complaining to me about it so much.
New things scare me.
Here's
the fourth from Oaklawn.
We're horse players. New things scare horse players.
6 furlongs in this $12,000 maiden claiming race.
Yeah, the one went by. Looks like the speed.
Here is Long Shot Dance My Way.
Yes, long shot. She is.
The queen. 701.
Queen Latifah, yes, there we go. I mean, listen, it's not going to take a Herculean performance to win it, but she's going to need to improve.
Has speed at least. First time at 16-1.
Yeah, nothing to recommend off just one race.
4-1, pleasingly, is dropping down.
The race 2 back makes her a contender. Her last race, though, a massive disappointment, but she didn't engage in a pace.
Pink Chimes has had 3 starts and has done very little running.
The first race was okay. The races have gotten worse every one since.
6-1, Bent Halo. Again, has some speed here.
Yeah, it feels like the outside of the potential speeds between the 1, 5, and 7. And getting back to a fast track could really help that horse.
Becoming a career maiden here, Bodie Odie.
I agree. I can't take 0 for 13s.
62-year-old John Court in the irons. Molly of Stratford for Steve Asmussen.
Well, the last dirt figure sticks out like a sore thumb, but Timeform US does not have it as fast as Bayer.
I Be Gone, start number 2 in a drop down.
Well, I Be Gone's taking. He's taking a little interesting play, isn't he? At 9-1, could be a huge price.
Here's the 11, Cosmic Chick.
Done no running in either of her starts. Mark Valesky. I love seeing Mark Valesky.
And Baba's Gal on the outside, 0 for 6.
I mean, in this field, 38-1 is probably too big a price, even though I didn't really like the horse. I'm intrigued by the money the 10 is taking, but not that I like the horse. Maybe they just see it as a drop down.
9-1, yeah, dropping in class.
But I mean, it's an Archie bred, you know, and I mean, it's rare that you see them taking money, oddly, against open company.
Apparently had a lot of traffic and trouble, but did not do much running, dead last in that race.
Did you notice there's also a Colorado bred in this race? You don't see a lot of them.
No, that is incredibly rare. Let's go live to Hot Springs, check in for the first time today with Paula Duca. Hey, Paulie.
Hey, Greg. Hey, Andy. How you guys doing? Happy weekend to you as well, and let's have a good March. When you get to this race, it's one of these conditions that they've had here at this meet that's been actually, I think, very, very clever. So if you're an Archie bred, you're in for 12-5, or you can designate whatever you want. Like the 7 in here, Bent Halo, is a New York bred, and this horse is in for 12-5. And if you're a Archie bred, you're in for 20. So Archie bred's in for 20. Anybody else is in for 12-5. And, you know, the Archie breds have kind of, I want to say, I went back and I looked, I want to say it's like 5-4 in these type of races. Archie breds have kind of outdone the Kentucky and the Colorado breds, like Andy said in here. But let's start off with your favorite in here, Molly of Stratford. You know, if you go back 3 starts ago, the race that she had at Remington Park, it towers over the field, right, with that 61 Bayer and the number, whatever kind of, you know, metric you want to use, sheets, Bayers, Equibase, whatever. The 9's the horse to beat off that race. Now, there was 2 races since then where she was on the turf course, did not work out. Now the complete drop to 12-5, and, you know, when Steve usually drops him, they're going to run with a purpose to win. This one for Mr. Brewster. Now, the 7 in here, Bent Halo, you know, Andy made a good point. You know, ran well first time out, getting back to a dry track, and Ernie Witt is the type of guy that doesn't actually fire him first time out. Then the next 2 times, the horse ran off, basically both of the times trying to go to the front end and just could not get there, but was bet both of those times. I think down to the 12-5, a dry track, you're getting a tremendous price here at 8-1. The 5, pleasingly, I get it, but there's just more excuses. To me, Pink Chimes has got a better race on a fast racetrack than pleasingly does. I don't get why the favoritism is going to the 2. That horse can beat me. And you guys were mentioning the 10. I know we go over these morning lines, and it's kind of crazy, you know, like, okay, the morning lines don't mean anything. But when a horse is 30-1 on the morning line like the 10, I Be Gone, second time out, first time Lasix, drops in for 20. And Greg, those are some of the slowest works I've ever seen on the bottom of the page for a horse that is taking some sneaky money in here. I think that's even more coy that the 10 could be live here, but I'm going to stick with the 7, Bent Halo, at 7-1. I think you're getting your price, although the 9, Molly of Stratford, is definitely the filly to beat.
Paulie, thanks. Yes, she is. Look, she has turf sprint speed, which is usually faster than dirt sprint speed, so she's probably going to be in front. And she has that one dirt race that she got a big figure on. Back to the 10, though. I Be Gone. And Paulie says it a lot with Steve Asmussen. With his quickest runners, he works them slow. John Prather here with a horse who's getting money, at least some.
No, it's drifted up. I was just, all I was saying was I was surprised the horse was 9-1 because he could have been 90-1. Now, I don't know anything. I'm not ready to bet this horse. I like Paulie 7. I think if I had to bet, I like the idea of getting back to a dry track. I was wrong. Time from US actually has that race the same as Beyer in a similar vein, the 61. But it was 5.5 furlongs, too. And I get it. The horse could obviously win here. But Paulie's idea is a good one, I think.
Well, let's not forget the rail. Differently. 7-2 right now. This is start number 3, and back to a level where this horse debuted on a wet track. Often you can just toss that first time out.
I agree. I worry he could really be under the gun, though, with the 5 and 7 as potential speeds. And both of them have enough talent that at the very least they figure to hang around a bit. So I think he could be in a tough spot, or she could be breaking from the rail.
First live action on our FS1 coverage from Oaklawn. Race 4, $12,000 maiden claimer. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the call.
Pink Chimes, the gray, and Bent Halo broke through the front of the gate. Looks like Harry Hernandez is okay after that. He's behind the gate. That was Bent Halo again, the 7. So Bent Halo went through the front of the gate there and is back behind the starting gate. They're going to load pleasingly, so the loading process resumes here. 3 more runners are behind the gate. One of them is Bent Halo, number 7, who again broke through the front of the gate. Pink Chimes also behind the gate. And Baba's Gal. Pink Chimes coming up. Harry Hernandez hops back aboard Bent Halo, so she'll reload. Those 3 still behind. They're working with Pink Chimes to load into the gate. Pink Chimes a little bit playful behind the gate. That gray filly there by Double Irish, trained by Tim Martin. Working with her to go in. This race here, maiden 12.5 claimer. Unless you're an Arkansas bred, then you can be in for the 20 tag. Bent Halo, post 7, coming up to the gate, reloading, and then Baba's Gal to the outside. Race number 4 on a 10-race card coming up here. We're ready to go. And we're off. Pink Chimes broke alertly. Latifa being asked for speed. Pleasingly in the mix as well. And differently down on the inside. Pleasingly with a head advantage on Latifa. And differently inside right there. Battling as well. Very contentious pace down the backside here. I Be Gone and Cosmic Chick. There's about 5 of them across the track. Down the backstretch. Now make it 6. Molly of Stratford coming back to her. She's off that very contentious pace. Dance My Way next. The first 8 or 7 or so are separated by probably about 4 or 5 lengths. Another 4 back to Bodie Odie alongside of Pink Chimes. Cosmic Chick has dropped back. Bent Halo second to last in the trailer. His first diamond as they round the forward turn. Differently and pleasingly, those 2 emerge from that contentious pace on the backstretch and hit the top of the lane 1-2. Pleasingly has a head lead. Differently inside. Back in second. Needs to counter punch. Dance My Way is coming with a nice rally. And also behind them is Molly of Stratford, who's coming down the extreme outside. Molly of Stratford has gone to the front with about a 16th to go, and Molly of Stratford's opening up. Molly of Stratford on the class drop for Team Asmussen wins it by about 2.5 or so. Dance My Way was second, pleasingly third. Photo for 4th, Pink Chimes, and differently.
Surprise, surprise, the winningest barn in North American history with his son aboard. Steve Asmussen with son Keith. Molly of Stratford the win.
Got a very good trip. It ended up the 1 and 5 getting involved, and the number 7. I don't know what happened to Ben Halo early. I don't know if she had trouble early, but perfect trip. Gets it done. Another win for the Asmussen team.
Here comes our post parade for the 5th. Start of the late pick 4 at Aqueduct. $25,000 claiming 1 turn mile. Mia Be a Star inherits the rail.
Yeah, I mean, if the pace got hot, I think she can always have a chance to close, but this doesn't look like much pace with the scratch of Sister Linda.
Cupid's girl, David Jacobson, first off the claim.
You never know with Jacobson, but she looks a little slow for these.
9-5. This is Run Devil, Rudy Rodriguez.
Yeah, she's supposed to be able to control this race. If Silvera stays away from the inside and keeps her in front, she should be tough to run down.
Katie Davis on Dream Away 7.
I like to see Katie stalking in second. I prefer Dream Away 7, but thought it was mostly between these two, like the public.
Halo City went by. It's going to come from way out of it.
Yeah, will she get enough pace? Don't really know.
And Long Shot Suspended Campaign, biggest price on the board.
She'll come from way, way, way out of it, and she just doesn't look good enough in her recent form.
Post time coming up here to start off this late pick 4. And a $25,000 claiming race to kick things off. Get your free Equibase past performances. Go to NYRA.com/TV schedule and follow along with all the stats of the horses, jockeys, and trainers. Let's bring in Jonathan Kinchin. JK, your thoughts here on this 5th as we get set for the pick 4 coming up.
Well, the most important question is, do you two guys miss me? So you can answer it later. We don't have to do it now. We'll talk about this race, but I just want to know if you miss me. You got to see me last week. I have another important question, but I'll wait till the end of this to ask it. I like the 3 Cupid's Girl. If you look at the past performances, 2 races ago for David Jacobson, ran pretty well and ran a race that I think can win this race. The problem is then when leaving Jacobson's barn and running for the Notice, didn't run particularly well. That's nothing necessarily against them. Sometimes these horses are just quirky, and whatever David Jacobson knew or found out about how this horse wants to be trained, maybe he can get back to that, and she can run a big race in here. So I'm going to go with the 3 Cupid's Girl. The other horses in here, I just don't quite trust. And to be fair, just as a whole, this entire weekend, one theme I'm probably going to be talking about a lot is with the racetrack, and Andy mentioned it last week and has mentioned it a few times, being as slow as it is, I think it's pretty hard for speed figure makers to make figures. And when it's hard to make figures, they're hard to trust. And I think that is going to make this weekend a very kind of tricky thing because you've got these horses that are running off of big races or slow races. Numbers might not be right. Acacia, are you cold?
I'm very cold, Jonathan, but we know that my metric of handling cold weather is I'm not very strong. Real quick, as they go into the gate, the 4, Run Devil, one that can be forwardly placed. Just a horse that I think was flattered by I'm Buzzy coming back to win yesterday, and I think her speed helps physically. I like Dream Away 7 the best. I think the mile suits her, and I appreciate that Katie Davis gave her a big warm-up out on the track, Greg, to hopefully try and get her involved in the race a little bit earlier.
Yeah, Andy, we talked about that with the 6. This horse has sprint speed. Can't she get more involved early?
Yeah, she should be in a stalking position. The scratch of the 5 allows the 4 to run and dictate. This track is speeded up a little bit. We're closer to normal on today's times.
Chris Griffin, the call. Here's the 5th from Aqueduct.
And they're off. Good speed from Dream Away 7 right towards the front, and Dream Away 7 is going to be joined down towards the inside here from Run Devil, who now wants to challenge for the early lead. Also up on the far outside, there comes Suspended Campaign, is now going to be taken just off the paces. They are tightly bunched here, really stacked up as they come out of the chute. Run Devil has got the lead, but has plenty of company. There's Suspended Campaign towards the outside of Dream Away 7. Down at the rail is Mia, Be a Star. Deep closers very close to this slow tempo. Cupid's Girl is in between horses, now in the 2 path, is coming after this leader. The trailer is Halo City. It's Run Devil on an easy lead, 24-3 for the opening quarter mile. Run Devil is about to be joined to the outside here from Suspended Campaign. Cupid's Girl is in between horses, losing a touch of ground there was Dream Away 7. Mia, Be a Star is the gray. Second to last, the trailer, Halo City. They work into the far turn. Run Devil trying to shrug them off. 48.46 for that half-mile time. Run Devil is still up by 3/4 of a length. Now being asked the question towards the outside, that Suspended Campaign, and a big long shot at 51-1 is with a half length of the leader. Here looming up on the outside is Katie Davis with Dream Away 7 there on the move, 3 wide. Losing some ground was Cupid's Girl. Towards the back, Halo City, Mia, Be a Star. They reach the top of the stretch. The favorite's got the lead at the top of the lane. The big long shot is chasing this leader. Run Devil, here comes Suspended Campaign, and now straightening up is Dream Away 7, but Run Devil's finding more to the inside. It's Run Devil, and here's that new challenger from Dream Away 7 catching with every stride and passing. Dream Away 7 has taken the lead. It's Dream Away 7 now inside the final 16th. Dream Away 7 is up by a length and a half and drawing away. Dream Away 7 is your winner. Run Devil second, then Suspended Campaign, and Halo City in 1 minute 39-1.
Dream Away 7, Chris Engelhardt, Katie Davis the win.
Yeah, and it was an oddly run race as Ruben Silvera really backed it down early, and they went kind of slowly, and they ended up being a bit of a slow race, but these aren't top-of-the-line horses. And kind of bunched the field. A very interesting ride. You got to give Ruiz credit. He outran her odds, right? With the Aces Men campaign,
Yeah.
got a horse that has no speed at all to be sort of up close. I mean, this horse is so slow. The time for pace projector doesn't even have the horse listed and says deep closer. And Katie Davis got that early position, drifted back a little bit, stayed towards the outside. And, you know, we've had a track the last couple days. I don't want to say it's a dead rail, but it does feel like it sort of has a bit of an outside flow to it.
Seemed that way yesterday.
Yeah.
Seeming that way again today. Dream Away 7. Katie Davis, you know, was forward early, then dropped back out of it and able to make that run.
Confident.
From out of it to the outside to get the victory here. 6, 4, 8, 7. Second choice on the board with the win for the Chris Engelhart barn. 4 wins now from 9 career starts for this 4-year-old filly by a former Derby winner, always dreaming to kick off the late Big Four. We're going to take a timeout. When we return, a neck away from being perfect. 2 wins, first 2 starts, and then a neck defeat in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. Jody's Pride getting set for a 3-year-old debut coming up in Saturday's Busher Invitational.
Full of run on the outside. They're inside the final furlong. And it is Stormcat who leads by 2.5 lengths. Tasso is full of run. They're running out of ground. Stormcat, Tasso, here's the wire, and it is too close to call. It's a photo finish.
First of our Gotham trivia answers. Tasso, 1985 Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Paid $120,000 after a win of the Breeders' Futurity to nominate to that Juvenile, and it paid off.
And he beat the mighty Stormcat, who I bet. I'm still bitter about it. He actually finished 3rd in the Gotham, I believe. Groovy was 2nd. Magambo won, and he was placed 2nd, I believe.
Yes, you're correct.
Yes, but we should have for Lafitte, because Lafitte's sad. The famous Lafitte, the real Lafitte, actually rode him.
Yeah, what a performance. Back in that 1985 Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Named champion 2-year-old as well, Tasso. 4 more to come as we get set for our ABR Race of the Week coming up this Saturday.
He was one of the tough ones, by the way, in case people were wondering. I got him right away, but he was a tough one. I got him because I was thinking about juveniles, and he came early.
Very tough one for many, I would think. Dream Away 7. Katie Davis, Chris Engelhart for My Purple Haze Stables. And here's where the winning move came from.
How can you not be happy to see Katie win? And, you know, she had the early position, sort of was very confident, and She had a reason to be confident. She rode the best horse and got the job done. Not a bad performance by Run Devil, just the second best horse in here. And I like the aggressiveness by the Apprentice, getting third at 50-1 with suspended campaign. And you like it when you see a rider that does something a little out of the box, and the horse outruns their odds. And this is a horse that could easily have been last in here and ended up was bet like she should have been last, and she ran a decent third.
6-year-old mare who was 51-1, getting third place money. But it's Dream Away 7 the win, $6.60 for the victory, and just 9 career starts, but every single start for her. She's not a superstar, but she's improved little by little.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think she's a nice horse, and a nice, honest horse in her races, and Chris Engelhart is having a very good winter.
Let's go downstairs to Acacia.
And I'm so happy to be joined by winning jockey Katie Davis, Dream Away 7, getting the win. Katie, but first of all, you had a special visitor in the winner's circle photo.
Yes, my daughter Riley. Trevor brought her in. He rides the last, and I'm done, so I'll take over. But that was a huge surprise. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, I won. Here's Riley.
And she was ready for the photo, too. But this filly, you gave her a big warm-up and kind of got her into the race, which really seemed to help her.
Yeah, so I watched a couple of her replays, and I rode her last. She really wouldn't switch for me last couple times, and I always stayed with the pony with her, and I'm like, you know what, let's just chance it, go on. I know she could be tough at times, but give her a really good warm-up. She loved it, and hey, she switched for me. I didn't have to ask her.
Nice finish today for sure. But also a topic that we're seeing today, thankfully a lot more present in the media. And today is 1 year since we saw jockey Alex Canchari take his own life. And I know you and Trevor McCarthy, your husband, have been big champions of jockeys' mental health. Why is that such an important topic that we need to be talking about?
You know, I think there's a stigma still. I mean, today, you know, back in the day, suck it up. You're okay. You know, everybody's going through things, and you know, it's so hard to have everything bundled up, and then you're trying to ride, and then you come home, the house is a mess. You know, you got to cook dinner, take care of the kids, and then, you know, financially you're not able to keep up, and it could be a big toll, not only on jockeys but trainers, you know, hot walkers, grooms, and it's just so important for everybody to come together as a team, as a family, and like, it's okay to ask for help. It's not like you're weak or you're nobody or nobody cares about me. I'm just, you know, I just hot walk horses, or, you know, I'm just a jockey, and, you know, I get these mounts, that mounts. You know, it's a big industry of mental health, and it's super important, and, you know, it touches my heart because everybody goes through it, not even this industry. In any industry. So I think it's a big plus that we are moving forward with it, and, you know, not just us jockeys, it's everybody. So
always appreciate you speaking out and being such a good role model to so many as well, and congratulations on the win here, Katie.
Hey, thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Now she's off and running, Greg.
Well, jockeys in this colony all wearing those armbands that were individually made by the Canchari family in memory of his passing. Passed away March 2nd, 2023, last year. Alex Canchari, who was so popular, especially in Canterbury. For anyone, by the way, we should mention that is going through mental well-being issues, you can get help, variety of resources for you at omh.ny.gov.
Yeah, and it's a societal problem. It's a worldwide problem, and very few people, whether you've been personally touched by it or people that are close to you, and it's an enormous problem. And I think one of the most important things, and it's great for the riders to bring attention to it, for anybody that's home and thinking about it, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. You're struggling to get through life. Life can be very hard at times for people. So it's important to know that there is help available to people, and you should never think there's something wrong with you just because you're struggling with issues.
No question. But Day, certainly that he's on everyone's minds in our sport. Alex Canchari, who passed away March 2nd of last year. We move on. Race 6 at Aqueduct. Mile and 3/16. An allowance optional claiming field. Big scratch in here with Reddington coming out. He's probably the horse to beat in this race. McAllen right now, the 9-5 favorite for Todd Pletcher.
But interestingly enough, there are scratches. And listen, if you're a horse in a race, anytime a shorter priced horse scratches, it's a good thing in a sense. But if you're McCallum, it doesn't help you that a controlling speed comes out of the race because it takes some of the pace out of the race. And McCallum's a big pace-dependent horse as we run this race at the famous Preakness distance, so 1 mile and 3/16. Though if these horses are going to move on, it would have to be the Pimp Special.
Yes, older horses in this spot. Not eligible. Cross Country Pick 5 begins in this race. Coming up this 6th here at Aqueduct. Get your tickets together. Includes races 8 and 9 from Oaklawn as well, and 6, 7, and 8 here from New York. Coming up this weekend, obviously that Derby prep in the Gotham, which we're focusing on quite a bit, but 3-year-old fillies on the road to the Kentucky Oaks. We will see earlier on the Saturday card in the Busher Invitational, including runner-up in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies to just FYI, Jody's Pride.
And one of the nice things about this year's Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, as opposed to the previous year where it was one of the worst negative key races you've ever seen,
it's incredible.
Horses are coming out of this race and running just fine. And just FYI, the winner makes her 3-year-old debut in the Devona Dale tomorrow down at Gulfstream Park. Big rival from a horse who broke her maiden at Aqueduct for Todd Fletcher. But Jody's Pride, I mean, for a horse that basically her trainer, and you can't blame him, has wanted to get on the turf her whole career because her dam was 2 for 2 on the grass that ran for TT for George Abreu. But it turns out getting rained off the turf has been a great thing for her, right? I mean, to end up running second. Frankly, she was coming at the end. She ran well in that Breeders' Cup, forwardly placed. She's been good, and there's no reason to suggest she's anything but the horse to beat in here.
Sometimes in this game you find out things by mistake, and they've found out that this filly is ultra talented on the dirt. Can she move that 2-year-old form forward now to this 3-year-old debut coming up? That's going to be the big question on Saturday.
I think it is the big question, and it's not a super strong field, but there are enough horses that have run well that she's going to have to run one of her good races. It'll also be interesting to see if she and/or Just FYI can elevate their speed figures. They were running mid to high 70 figures. Now there's no reason they can't improve 6-8 points just with natural progression, but they're going to have to because there are some faster 3-year-old fillies out there now.
That is coming up on Saturday. Road to this year's Kentucky Oaks for 3-year-old fillies and last year's runner-up of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, Jody's Pride, back in action with her 3-year-old debut. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. Take a look back at the Pride of Arkansas. What a horse. No double was, including a brilliant performance in the 1969 Brooklyn. Traveled coast to coast with victories. His story coming up.
Good Magic is off to a meteoric start at stud, having sired 2 Eclipse Award finalists in first crop Kentucky Derby champion Mage and second crop Grade 1 winning 2-year-old Muth. With just 2 crops to race, Good Magic ranked 21st on the general sire list with nearly $10 million in progeny earnings. Mage's graded stakes winning full brother Dornoch is one of the leading contenders for this year's Kentucky Derby. Good Magic, the classic sire.
General admission tickets are on sale now for the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival at Saratoga, June 6th through 9th. Admission is just $10 on Thursday as well as on Sunday for this historic event. Visit BelmontStakes.com/tickets today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
This is Maxfield. This is a Maxfield foal. Maxfield, the G1 Breeders' Futurity and G1 Clark Hero by Street Sense. Maxfield foal. They're just like him. Walking, standing, looking perfect, and selling. This one made $500,000, the most by any freshman in 2023. Maxfield. He's the best in his field. Inquire now.
Game Winner first got started and ran a very, very impressive maiden race to Del Mar. Came back in the Del Mar Futurity and again won very impressively at 7 furlongs, and then just continued that unbelievable 2-year-old year. Went on to win the American Pharoah Stakes at Santa Anita and then the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and then was obviously crowned 2-year-old champion. Got the precocity to do that, plus the stamina and everything that his whole family indicates.
Back with you on our FS1 coverage on America's Day at the Races. Everyone is overjoyed and excited. The anticipation We can't wait for this year's Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. Tickets on sale now. Festival week, Thursday through Sunday, June 6th through 9th. Go to belmontstakes.com/tickets to be part of history.
So I was up in Saratoga for a few days visiting my mom this week, and I started to hear my first crazy Belmont at Saratoga rumors about things happening. One of my favorite things, and I've been hearing since I was a kid, and when I was a kid I always believed them, unfortunately. You hear all these crazy rumors, next year we're going to run for 7, we'll have a February meeting, or, whatever nonsense. So I just started to hear my latest crazy rumors about Saratoga, but people are excited. All that really shows is just how excited people are.
You're going to share what it is?
No, it was just like something about shutting streets down or something we would never do and stuff. Okay.
I heard a crazy rumor that Andy Serling's moving into the infield.
Really? Well, I'd say we should set up tents there. Maybe we could stay there. What do you think?
I'd love that.
TV people.
Here's our post parade from Oaklawn for their 5th coming up. We start with KJ's Pistol Annie at 10-1.
Wait a second. Do I have the wrong day here? Oh, it's the 1. There's an entry. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Yes, it looks like the weaker half the entry. I apologize.
Miracle Shoes breaks 2nd to the outside.
Yeah, this one looks like this.
What? Pat Scal is a 2 with the rail.
Okay. I misnumbered it. I didn't know there was an entry,
okay.
So now I'm all screwed up. I don't like Pascal.
Thursday morning on our Friday show.
I don't like her either.
34-1. Not many do. Smarty's Angel 7-2.
Smarty's Angel. I had her as a contender off her last. She showed some speed in the mud.
Slight drop
now
down.
I'm all screwed up though because I have the wrong numbers. Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to work with Andy. Be My Huckleberry at 6-1.
Okay, she's the 6. Okay. I had her as a contender. I thought dropping down she could win. Sorry.
Bootlegging Girl at 30-1. Seems, does have a little bit of speed.
Yeah, she's second off a layup, does get a fast track as she drops down.
Dixie Girl 2, another big long shot.
Yeah, I just didn't think she was good enough.
1 for 24, lifetime record on Courageous Captain.
Yeah, that's a big problem for her, and she's been running in this condition, just may not be good enough.
And we get to the one really taking all the money here, Samoria for Ron Moquette, 8-5 favorite.
Well, she's taking a huge drop down after a bad performance in the mud off the layoff, and she's got good races last year. Still one to beat, but I'm not running at that price.
And another big price on the outside 4-year-old filly here, Cora Mandel.
Yeah, I just didn't have her as a contender in here. I can understand Samoria is the horse to beat, but I'd rather take a little shot with a horse like who I originally had the 5, Be My Huckleberry, dropping down in here. Thought she was a little interesting. See what Paul thinks.
Third off the bench, Paulie, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I'm with Andy. I thought the inside, those 3 horses, and then the 10 obviously is a major player in here. I was actually talking to Ron Moquette a little bit after that last race, and I said, what do you think here? He goes, man, I really should win here. And this is the best place that, this horse has been in, but she's got to break, or he's got to break. The problem is that she's just been really bad at the gate, and she has not showed speed in her last 2 races. So Ronnie told me, listen, if she can get out of the gate and get in some position, she should be tough to handle against this group. Now, when you look at the 4, 5, and the 6, I'm kind of with Andy. The 4, Smart Angel in here, or Smarties Angel, went pretty fast last time in the mud. But, the dry track effort is 1 for 5. The lone win over a dry track. The 5, Kitiara, in for this 12-5 last time, had a bad trip. And people are going back in at 9-2 with Harry Hernandez. And Be My Huckleberry, a horse that did show a race at Prairie Meadows that can win. The last 2 races, the gate's been the issue, but this horse literally made up some ground. Dwayne Lloyd's better conditioner than it says on the page, 5%. The 6 has got a big shot here, but I obviously think they have to beat the 10 in here just because when you look numbers-wise, if this horse runs any of the numbers when she was, a year ago, like any of those races, she's got 3 or 4 races that beat this field. So I know I don't want to be lining up 2 at 8-5, but I'm going to go with her. But I do think the 6, Be My Huckleberry, is the one other horse in here that I think's got a shot. And by the way, the rumor that I heard going on in Saratoga was the ADATR team was going to go down to Saratoga Strip. We were all going to do the Thriller.
I'm sure Andy has a red jacket handy.
Just you, Paulie. We wouldn't want to take away from you and what we know that you love to wear that. Did you watch that special on like Showtime, the Thriller at 40?
No.
It's great. It's all about the making. It's also the Jackson 5, the tour after. It's really great. I remember
I went to the Victory Tour.
Did you really?
Did, yeah.
I remember watching Thriller when it debuted on MTV when I was in college. It was like the biggest thing ever.
Back to New York, filmed at Hoyt Schermerhorn, wasn't it?
That's
or was that
Beat It, I think. Okay. One of those is Hilton.
9 minutes away from the 6th here in New York. Mile and 3/16 coming up. 7-5 favorite McCallan on your screen right now. Let's go downstairs to Acacia.
Well, Greg, now I can't wait for Halloween when I'm going to get Andy and you to do the Thriller dance with me. It'll be a lot of fun in our office down here at Aqueduct. But taking a look at McCallan in this spot, I do think now being second off the layoff, we'll get a chance to see a stronger performance from him. The fact of the matter is he's a 5-year-old horse. He's only raced 7 times. He has not been easy to keep on the racetrack. But last time out, he finished 3rd behind Rocco Strong, who we'll see later on the card today. And he dropped back after the break. He's a horse that tends to come from pretty far off of it. It just seems, even when asked, he likes to take himself out of the race. He's a big, leggy horse. I haven't seen him in quite a while, since, in fact, the start of his career. But he's always been a horse that looks like he's all leg. He hasn't filled out a ton. Even now, as a 5-year-old, seeing him, you'd expect him to kind of carry a little bit more condition. He's a very athletic, kind of streamlined type of build. He looks tremendous. His coat looks great. Being based here at Belmont, looks a picture of health, looks very fit. And he looks like distance is his friend. So we'll see what he does second off the bench. But again, just given the fact that he's been a tough one to keep off the race on the racetrack, I always do wonder when we're going to see them put good races back to back together. The 5 Systemic Change is a horse that's shown he can be effective going this distance. He won at 1 mile and 3/16 back in April of last year. The blinkers are coming off today, and last time out, he just had nothing when asked, and he's a smaller, kind of handier type of horse, Greg. I want to watch him warm up because when I've seen him previously, been a high-energy type, very calm and collected today, which I like to see for this distance.
Thank you, Acacia. Yeah, his 5-year-old debut coming up. We haven't seen him since December 10th, and he's making an equipment change today.
Yeah, and I was looking up stats when Chad Brown takes blinkers off a horse, and universally he has excellent stats, over 30% with all. He's 50% at Naira in dirt routes taking blinkers off, making that change. So I thought Systemic Change a little interesting on that, and while I don't dislike McCallum, I worry that there's just no pace for him.
Meanwhile, back to Oaklawn, loading up for the 5th and all the money on the 10. Samoria for trainer Ron Moquette. Rafael Bejarano aboard, dropped down in class. We'll see if he can get it done. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the call.
Bootlegging Girl and Coro Mandel to the outside. Here's Coro Mandel. That was it. We're ready to go. And Lyroff. Having to take up right at the start with Smarty's Angel drops to the back of the pack. There's a lineup for the lead. Be My Huckleberry is there. Also KJ's Pistol Annie in the orange colors. Coro Mandel, Miracle Shoes. Those 4 across the track. And look at that cavalry charge right behind them. Scrambling for the 4th spot. Samoria on the far outside is going to go up there and snatch that 4th position from KJ's Dixie Girl 2 into the turn. Pat's Gal down on the inside. Courageous Cap'n eases off of heels into that turn. A length to Thursday morning. Then Kitiara around the turn outside of her. Smarty's Angel is second to last, and Bootlegging Girl is the early trailer as they round the far turn. Coro Mandel emerges from the foursome up top, is clear by 2 around the far turn run. Samoria picks up the running in the 2nd spot. Courageous Cap'n is following that move. Miracle Shoes is giving way on the fence. They're off the turn, and Coro Mandel's in front. Here's Samoria on the outside, poised to pounce. Courageous Cap'n trying to battle as well on the grandstand side. Samoria with the head lead. Courageous Cap'n leveling off outside of her. It's Samoria, Courageous Cap'n. Samoria, Courageous Courageous Cap'n can't get by. Who is it, folks? It's Samoria. Samoria won it over Courageous Cap'n, Coro Mandel, and Smarty's Angel. 2 wins for Rafael Bejarano today. Samoria did it as the favorite.
6-5, Samoria, the victory, holding off that 10-1 shot to her outside.
Not exactly winning like a 6-5 shot should, but gets it done over a game-long shot in the outside or not so game.
Back to New York, and it's the remaining half of the entry beyond best.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this horse is totally impossible, but the lack of speed is a problem.
Gets post 4. The rail is going to go to the 2, Midnight Trouble.
Probably was best last time out, but the horse that beat him came back and did not run well against Lesser yesterday.
Eric Cancel for the Tom Morley barn there. The 3, McAllen for Todd Pletcher.
Now, he's the most talented horse in here, but he's a quirky horse who has a bad habit of dropping out of races, and the lack of pace could be a problem for him.
Here is Centavo, 5-time winner from 41 starts.
He's in great current form. He's taking a big step up in class, though.
Talked about the 5 for Chad Brown. The blinkers come off.
Look at the crazy money. This horse just went down to favoritism here. I picked him. I wouldn't bet him at 9-5, but I am alive in the double.
Winner 2 back at 1 mile and 1/8. Rungius for Bruce Levine.
Yeah, I mean, he got a very good trip and a terrific ride to win 2 back. I think he'd have to improve on that to win here. But, you know, a lot of this race is going to center around McCallum. If McCallum is able to run his faster figures, he might just be too fast for these. But if he's compromised by the pace, and he's a weird horse, there have been a lot of races where you would have thought around the turn there's a better chance he'd be eased, and he takes these crazy runs at the end, but he's a little bit of a problematic horse.
He takes a little time to get that motor going, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Back to 8-5 favoritism now on McAllen. Track stats. Take advantage, bet smarter, win bigger. Weekly Aqueduct track trends, statistics, and betting insights at NyraBets.com. 3 minutes post here in the 6th. And to answer your question, JK, I missed you before you even left the set last week.
When we were on the subway together and you got off a stop or two before me and the door closed, I cried a little bit. It was like a movie, like a romantic comedy where you were leaving. And I like the 3 McAllen as well. On the dirt, Todd, I think, is one of the best in the world. You know, there's the Bob Bafferts, there's the Brad Coxes, and there's even the Chad Browns. But I still believe that Todd just really excels at this. And I think when you get an opportunity with a horse like this who has talent, I do think having a chance to go a little bit longer really does go a long way for a horse like McAllen, right? He is a little bit slow away from there, so a longer race, I think, plays into his hands. It's his second start off of a little bit of a break as well, so there's a start before that was October 21st. Now he came back January 27th. Now he's making that second start off a break, so I expect him to run even better here. And what better rider to have than Manny Franco in a long-distance dirt race in which you're going to want to kind of maybe pick your horse up and finish that last 16th of a mile. I like McAllen quite a bit in here. Not crazy about the horse at 3-2, but if we're just picking pure winners here, I do think that the 3 McAllen makes the most sense. Acacia?
He's definitely a talented horse, JK. Let's see if he can get the job done second off the bench. I wanted to talk about the 6, Rungus to the outside, a horse who was forwardly placed last time. He was up close pressing by Ruben Silveira, and Ruben gave him a big warm-up on the track today. Now, this is a horse that I know had been sprinting previously, but he did win at the 9 furlongs 2 back, and this is actually my first time looking at him, surprisingly. But to my eye, he looks like a horse that physically wants distance, and I like that he got such a big warm-up out in the track. And with Reddington coming out of this race, the horse that was going to be the pace setter, I think we're going to see this horse from the outside be aggressively handled by Ruben, who usually is aggressive out of the gate, and get him into the game a little bit early on. Just also have to draw attention to the hind wraps with the flying pea hot pink, little diamond details on it as well. He's very well turned out in all of his hot pink out there on the track today. And then quickly to wrap up on the 5, Systemic Change. He did get sharper out on the track as he usually is, but still he's keeping it all under wraps today, Greg.
Keisha, thank you. See how this plays out. You know, JK, back to the 3. So McAllen's going to get an extra 16th of a mile for a horse that kind of, as we talked about, takes a while to get going. It's only going to help him, you would think.
I don't know. I mean, I don't believe that distance is always the friend of deep closers. He's done his act, and he's run some good races. I mean, his best race is probably 2 back when he lost by a length to Signature. I'm not surprised at this price. He's faster than these horses. If you look at speed figures, he's the fastest horse, and he's the horse to beat. But my problem is you're taking that in a race that doesn't feature a ton of pace, and he is a weird horse. Now, if somebody wins by 4 lengths, he is probably shorter than even money to be that horse. Having said that, I just have trouble taking a horse that is dropping out of races. He's like, his jockeys have given up on him because they thought he'd want to run, and then he starts running again. He's a weird horse. I'm sure he's extremely frustrating. I don't deny he's the most talented horse here. I mean, I don't love 5-2 on Systemic Change, and it's a lot to do with the connections. I'm getting a little bit of a better price, and looking at doubles, it's paying around $32 for $2. So I'm sort of hoping I can get the 5 home here.
And maybe he's not good enough to win here, but just from a pure value standpoint, the remaining half of the entry, way too big a price at 12-1.
I don't disagree. I don't know how he's a higher price than Centavo. I'll put it that way. If Centavo's 9-1, he should be 6-1.
13-1 right now. Beyond Best coming in from Parks. See how he fares. Now odds on. Public can't get enough of McCallan here in this 6th. Manny Franco for Todd Pletcher. Let's go upstairs for the call to Chris Griffin.
Centavo was in, now backed away. Centavo stepping forward. Beyond Best. That'll leave 2 out. Systemic Change and Rungus. Systemic Change. Rungus, last to low. 1-0. Rungus goes in. All set. And they're off. It's a little tight there between Centavo and also McCallan. Now they're more settled. Rungus from the outside draw will cross over and does it pretty easily here. It's going to be Rungus to take him towards that first turn and taps on the brakes, and that's going to stack him up in behind. Tightly at the rail there is Midnight Trouble. Also in there is McCallan. It's Midnight Trouble just wrangled back in here as Beyond Best is in the clear, is now alone in second. Systemic Change is 3 wide in that second grouping, is in 5th. The trailer is Centavo. They're chasing Rungus and Ruben Silvera. It's a slow tempo up top. Half-length lead here on Beyond Best, who's stalking right here off of the pace setter. Midnight Trouble wants to go. Is right there at the rail. Is saving ground to the inside. McCallan to the outside of that rival. That's the leading 4. Just a touch wide there. Systemic Change is in the center of the racetrack, and the trailer is Centavo, and they are crawling 25-4. The posted opening quarter mile. Rungus at 8-1's got the lead. Another long shot towards the outside. Beyond Best, and Abner Nordo encourages this rival to move closer, is back to within a neck of the leader. McCallan still in between horses, nowhere yet for Midnight Trouble at the rail. Systemic Change is still 3 wide in that group. Centavo's going to have to pass them all, and they went 50-4 for the half-mile time. Less than a half-mile to go, and Rungus is up top. Beyond Best is all in here from second. A lineup in behind that is chasing Rungus, who's on the front end. It's Systemic Change, who moves to the outside 4 wide. At the rail, Midnight Trouble looking for room. McCallan is in that tight group as well. Centavo is making up some ground, and here comes Centavo, who's going to be wide. Tightly bunched here as they approach a quarter mile left to go. Rungus is still in hand here, and Rungus now gets the cue to kick for home. Centavo, though, is rolling on the grandstand side, and Systemic Change is in between those two. It's Rungus approaching a final furlong. Systemic Change continues to chase. Centavo is now stalling after that move. It is all Rungus still. Rungus is fending him off. Systemic Change is a clear second. McCallan is rallying on, but running out of time. Rungus is almost there. Slow tempo, and Rungus will take him all the way. Rungus gets the win. McCallan up late for second. Systemic Change and Beyond Best in 2 minutes. 0.52 seconds.
Rungus with the upset score at 8-1. McCallum finally started to get going, but it was too late.
I guess when Eric Cancel is riding the supposed speed, it's easy for a rider who wants to be aggressive to get the lead, and you got to give Ruben Silvera credit. He seized the bull by the horns, and he was able to control in a race where he probably wasn't necessarily the fastest horse early. I give him a lot of credit for being aggressive and doing that. This has not been a running style that's been particularly effective the last couple days, but he did stay a little off the rail, and he was able to get it done, and I think what I said about McCallum proved to be true. You know, Manny tried to ride him to get him into position, which I can't blame him for doing, but he is just a weird horse, and somewhere around the 5/16 or 3/8, and he's probably a horse that doesn't run the turns very well. He just started to give up, and it felt like at that point, right, once again, he's going to be nowhere, and then he re-rallied and got second.
He's got some talent, though.
Oh, he has talent, but you're taking 4 to 5 on horses that do things that hurt their chances to win. That's the problem with it. I don't mind betting systemic change. He ran much better than you might have expected on paper. Looked for a minute like he was going to win it, or a few seconds at least. Just wasn't able to get it done. Dylan rode him well. He kept him outside. It's the way the race had been run. Just wasn't quite good enough. But the point with McCallum is you have to be careful. It's not just about taking a horse that is the fastest horse to win. He is a weird horse, and he seems to have issues on the turns. There's some horses like that. I don't think there's an answer. If Todd Pletcher can't find it, far be it from me to know what it could be.
8-1 on your winner here in the 6th. Flying P Stable Silks, Ruben Silvera for trainer Bruce Levine. Prices when we come back. We'll set up the 7th when we return on our FS1 coverage of America's Day at the Races. Back with you on America's Day at the Races on our FS1 coverage. We'll wrap up Rungus and that upset. We just saw a very tough horse to come up with. Ruben Silvera, and it pays sometimes to be aggressive.
Yeah, and to make a decision, to say, I'm going to do this. If somebody else gets in my way, so be it. He was decisive from the start, and everybody else was kind of tepid. Now, some of it may be that the track's been playing a bit as sort of an outside flow track, and the riders are worried about getting that situation. I'm not sure why the two wouldn't want to be more forward, but maybe it just doesn't matter. He finished last in here. But this horse able to dictate in a slow pace. But once again, McCallum is his own worst enemy. I mean, he was in a contending position. He dropped out in the turn, and there he is running again at the end when it's too late. He's a talented horse that he has troubles. He would be best suited to Belmont with the wide sweeping turns. So if he can stick around a couple years,
Yeah, back in 2026.
Yeah.
It's going to be his time.
Yeah.
No, you're right. It's a good point, though. It would be a horse who'd be a lot more effective there, you would think, with that running style. 6-3-5, 1A.
Blew up a lot of pick fives, huh?
Very tough one to find. Race 7, $40,000 claiming sprint, 7/8 of a mile. And right now it's the 5, Life Changer, who loves this distance. 3 of his 4 wins have come at 7/8 of a mile. Life Changer, one of 2 at 9-5 on the board. We'll have more in this race coming up in a moment. We're going to take a timeout. When we return, we'll look ahead to more stakes action coming up on the Saturday card. 4-year-olds and up, Grade 3, 6-furlong sprint. Super Chow coming off a big win in the Grade 3 Toboggan, looking to go back-to-back in graded stakes this weekend.
They're off in the 2023 First Crop Sires Race. Maximum Mischief makes the lead with the most 2-year-old maiden special winners by any sire. On the backstretch, Mitoli and Omaha Beach close the gap with stakes performers from coast to coast. Vino Rosso finds his best and leads on the turn with 4 Grade 1 colts on dirt. But it's Mitoli with his 3rd TDN Rising Star, your champion freshman, leading an impressive Spendthrift Superfecta.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
The sun shines bright on Caraconte. His first crops of racing age are showing brilliance on the racetrack with a high percentage of stakes winners. His versatility is evidenced by winners on all surfaces across the globe.
Spandarella could not have been more impressive.
The sun shines bright on this value sire.
Fair down 25, fair down 25, fair down. Thank you. Right here, 525,000.
Caraconte, standing at Gainesway.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
And in between horses, Gulch is right there, 4th. On the outside, Play the King now, and they're down to the final furlong. Very subtle has now taken the lead. On the outside, Play the King is charging hard. Gulch is right there. Gulch emerging with the lead. Play the King, it's Gulch. Play the King, here's the wire, and Gulch has won it.
Another Breeders' Cup winner to have run in the Gotham Gulch 1988 Breeders' Cup Sprint, the first Breeders' Cup in Kentucky, and a jubilant Angel Cordero Jr.
I was there in the bitter cold. It was freezing cold. The Fleet probably should have won. He got a terrible ride. He was 3rd in the Gotham. I want to say he was in the division behind Gone West. He beat Gone West in the Wood Memorial in his next start. Just nailed him in the wild. And Gone West was actually the other answer to a trivia question: who was the worst that Woody Stevens ran, trying to win 6 straight Belmonts? But Gulch was really just a super, super cool horse that could win Grade 1s from a mile to a mile and a quarter, basically.
He was 8th early on in that race. They were flying. 21 opening quarter.
They were moving in there. A Fleet, Gary Stahlbaum somehow had him last, top of the stretch. He finished a fast closing 3rd in the rail. I'm still bitter. I loved a Fleet. I love Gulch too, but I loved a Fleet.
Grade 3, Tom Fool coming up on a super card on Saturday here at Aqueduct. 6 furlongs, running for a purse of $175,000. And we'll start with Super Chow. Manny Wah was 2nd in this race, a distant 2nd. He'll be back as well. Gate to wire win last time out in the Grade 3 Toboggan on a wet track.
But I believe he's never won a race rating, and there's 2 faster horses early. Excuse me, it's extremely unlikely that he'll be able to get the lead in this race. it's very hard to see him. He has one rating. He won the Hutchinson last year. Thank you very much, Greg. Sitting third early, but I don't see it happening in this race. I'll be surprised if he wins, but got the win last time. I think it's going to be a very different race, though, on Saturday.
5 for 10 at this 6 furlong distance, 7 for 16 overall. He's putting together a nice little resume here, this 4-year-old. Meanwhile, distant second there, as we talked about, Manny Wah. He'll be coming back for Will Walden with Ramon Vasquez.
I think
Rotney. Go ahead.
No, I think the race got much tougher this time.
Yes, no question. And for Rotney, he's had some big efforts, hasn't he? Last time out, say Florida Sandy, sloppy sealed track, dominated this group. Aggregation on Diemo Frenzy behind him.
And sadly, we're supposed to get some rain, which certainly shouldn't be bad for his connections, as he definitely likes a wet track. He's been in really, really good form. And I just, I was thinking about those maker horses that bombed so badly last week, made me a little bit scared to see if he'll come back and run this race. But the good Rotney is fast, but he also has the speed of Durante to deal with in the outside. It's a fun race, some interesting horses in here. Hopefully the rain won't negatively affect things too much.
Jose Lizcano, return ride on Rotney. 24 Mamba. Is he good enough against this kind of group?
I hope so, because I picked him.
Okay.
He's been in great form.
He has.
You like him a little bit?
Yeah, he's an interesting horse. Yeah. First test in graded stakes company for him.
Should I ask? Two horses that have won the Tom Fool have won Breeders' Cup races. See if you can get them.
More trivia.
One of them's very famous.
Okay. You're going to keep an eye on this?
I'll tell you now. It's Ghost Zapper and Secret Train.
Got to be quick. 6th at Oaklawn. And we kick off the late pick 5 here. Condition $10,000 claiming sprint at 6 furlongs, part of the entry, Boldish.
Let's see if I have the numbers correct.
Oh, no, here we
correct
go.
For this one. Yeah, Boldish. I did have the entry. I thought he was a little slow.
This one gets the rail. Happy Mac should control up front.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got race to give him a chance, but there's a lot of speed in here.
Easy, big boy, 20-1.
Just didn't think he was fast enough.
Christian Torres on Must Be Love.
I thought this one would be the speed of the speed in here, actually, but I thought this race was impossible. Maybe Paulie has a great idea.
Mystery Man, big number for Ron Moquette.
Yeah, he's going to have to get faster, find some prior races that were good.
Morning Snow, Ronnie Craven's trains.
Races are not good enough at Oaklawn.
More big numbers in the middle of the field here. Awesome Family.
Ran okay last time out. I still feel like he's behind. I think they got the right favorite here. I think Happy Mac is the horse to beat.
Yeah, at least move forward. 2nd off the bench today, 3rd off the layout for the 7. The 8, Roman Giant.
Yeah, the last race was a step in the right direction, but would need to take another step. I thought the 9 was a player, and he scratched.
The 10, taking money right at his morning line at 5-1 for Steve Manley.
But he seems to be a better horse on synthetic and maybe even turf. I don't like him on this surface at all.
And then Square Deal outside a 5-time winner, 7-year-old.
Yeah, but not of his recent form. I can't like him. I'm 2s and 4s. I don't have anything clever to say.
Late pick 5 starts here. Happy Mac with the rail. He's one of 2, Paul, on the board at 9-5.
Yeah, the 2 and the 4 are battling for favoritism here. And when you get to the 2 in here, the 2 horse in here, excuse me, Happy Mac, I mean, the drills are insane when you look at the bottom of the page. I mean, this horse has outworked 90-some horses, 65 horses on December 21st. 2 out of 103 outworked 100 and some horses. And then if you go back to his work on February 7th, it was 2 out of 52. So obviously, this son of Run Happy is working, blaze of guns in the morning. The issue that I have right now at 2-1, this horse has been in for 7,500, and the last race was at Fort Erie. So, do the blinkers come off? Does that make him still the speed of the speed? Because I'm kind of with Andy. The 4 could press it here with Christian Torres. It's going to be very interesting. The 4's been a favorite in a lot of his races. He's disappointed here and there. He's 2 for 24 lifetime, but he's kind of right there with 9 seconds and thirds. And if Christian Torres wants to lay off or put it to the 2, Ramsey Zimmerman, who is aboard the 2, is just one of those riders that sometimes just does not relent the lead, no matter how far, or how fast they're going on the front end. So maybe Christian will lay off with the 4, Must Be Love. I don't know what's going to happen there. I think that's going to dictate the rest of this race. The other runners in here I thought were very interesting. You do have the 8, Roman Giant. I thought made some ground last time out if the pace heats up. And you know what? when you look at the 11 in here, Square Deal, who's my long shot in here, this horse has some numbers to go back to that can be competitive in this race. I know 0 for 9 or 0 for 8 last year, 0 for 1 this year. You get Louis Q aboard. Alan Milligan, 71-1 shot, ran second. Then he came back with another winner at 50-1 shot. His barn is cycling around. I mean, at 21-1, this race is so wide open. I don't trust anybody in here. I would take a little bit of a swing with the 11 Square Deal. And I think whoever gets in front, the 2 and the 4 early, wins this race. But if the 2 and the 4 go at it, it opens a Pandora's box, and I'm hoping the 11 Square Deal is the one that comes flying.
Wow, at 21-1. We'll see if that pace tool develops. Paulie, thanks. This race again kicks off a very difficult late pick 5 in Hot Springs as we get back to New York for race 7, this $40,000 claiming race, and our current favorite, Life Changer, at 8-5.
I think it's important to note that the morning line is irrelevant here, that the morning line maker would have made the 5 and 6, the first 2 choices. The entry was favored 2-1 because the present gentleman, Joe, who scratched. I thought they were the right 2. I do think Gemography may have a bit of a pace advantage, but I prefer Life Changer, as do you. If something clever happens here, I'm not seeing it, and I don't think you are either, Greg.
Nope. 8-5, loves this 7 furlong distance. Let's go down to Acacia.
Unfortunately, Life Changer will have some weight on him because I just think that he's the horse that you have to get around in here as well. Claimed a few starts back for the Cantormasi brothers, and this was a horse that always had some ability, just maybe wasn't the most consistent type, and one that when racing consistently, my constant complaint with him is that he just wouldn't carry his weight and his conditioning well from race to race. He's always quiet, laid back as he typically is, and it's the same in here today. But he's really carrying good flesh, especially for having run 4 times since coming back in November. And it really just seems like he's flourishing right now. His coat looks great for running here in the winter, too. I like what I'm seeing from him coming off of a 3rd-place finish last time out, where he just couldn't reach the top 2, but ran well. And I just think that he is finding himself in a very good spot in here. Not to mention, he has some tactical speed. To the outside, the number 1A, Beach Walker, the remaining part of the entry. This is a horse who will be compromised because he doesn't have much early speed. Now, he comes back in off of a performance last time out when he was really fractious in the gate, and he kind of threw his head up as the gate opened as well. He's never really been a forwardly placed type of horse. He stretches out a bit to the 7/8. Physically, he looks well here in the paddock. He looks good in his coat, good in his weight, which typically with the Jacobson horses that sometimes are a little bit streaky, the ones that physically seem to be healthy at the moment are the ones that do tend often to run well. Now, as mentioned, I think he's going to be compromised in this spot. He's very calm here in the paddock right now, so hopefully he can keep settled and take that to the gate and break well today, because I do think how this race plays out could be up against him and any of the other deep closers in this spot. Greg?
Acacia, thank you. See how it plays out. 8-5 favorite, Life Changer, as we get you back to Hot Springs and about to load up for this first leg of this late pick 5. We'll see if that pace stool in this one develops between the 2 and the 4.
I'm not sure that Paulie's horse, though, is that slow. But listen, I'll be rooting for Paulie at 21-1. And I'm not saying he loves the horse. I don't think he disagrees. I thought the 4 would be the speed. Maybe the number 5 would be stalking a little bit here. And I thought the 2 would take a tuck, which is why I preferred him. But I agree. I prefer the 2 to the 4. The 4 is also not much of a winning type with 9 seconds and thirds and 2 wins. Often short prices as well.
8-5 for year in, year out. One of the winningest barns in Hot Springs. Robertino Diodoro, second off the claim. Matt Dinnerman, the call with race 6 from Oaklawn.
2 back, Square Deal and Mystery Man. Mystery Man coming up first, and then Square Deal. We're ready to go. And Laroff, Happy Mac from the inside, broke swiftly today and is up on the pace at 1. Sent along, shown some rain to get up there with the lead. And Happy Mac's in charge in the early part. Must Be Love moving up to apply the heat on the throat latch of Happy Mac. And these two square off down the backside. Square Deal running in third with Roman Giant. Awesome Family inside of that pair. Another length and a half to Easy Big Boy. A similar margin to the gray Blazing Road along with Mystery Band. Morning Snow is second to last. And Boldish has no early paces last as they charge around the far turn. Happy Mac goes off as the 3-2 favorite, clears off with 3 furlongs to go, opens up a length and a tail. Must Be Love in chase mode now, second, sent along after that leader as they round the far turn. A gap of 2 to Square Deal is pumped upon. Roman Giant under heavy pressure. Mystery Man's getting to the outside for the final stretch run, but needs to get going as they swing off the corner. Happy Mac switches leads under a confident ride here by Ramsey Zimmerman. Now the reins get shaken at him. He's on top by 2, and second Must Be Love's not going to get him. Outside Square Deal's running well at 15-1. Roman Giant battling 2 for that minor award, but Happy Mac is clear, and Happy Mac wins it convincingly. Roman Giant was second. Boldish from out of the clouds got third, just got up over Square Deal.
Happy Mac, Ramsey Zimmerman almost looked like he toying with his field early on. I thought he might have lost the reins, it looked like. Maybe they were just incredibly loose, but yeah, this horse dominant.
He was also surprised to find himself just an easy lead, but that happened because the 4 didn't break. And if you're a speed and you think you can clear the lead and the horse doesn't break, you're basically screwed at that point. And that's sort of what happened to him right there. And Happy Mac instead, he broke like a shot, went to the front and controlled, and this race was over. And the odds got flip-flopped. The 4 was 8-5, and the 2 was 2-1 going to the gate. End up 3-2 and 2-1 the other way around, and they were right, as they often are, whoever they are.
3-2 on your winner to start off that pick 5 as we get back to New York. And a look at this field for the 7th. Our post break here coming up momentarily. 3-2 favoritism. Life changer in a race that changed quite a bit with Gentleman Joe coming out.
Yes. He's running, I think, on Sunday, or he's entered on Sunday.
Look at the 7 there. Lafitte's Fleet has an outside look with Dylan Davis. We start our post break with Beachwalker.
Yeah, I mean, he's not impossible in here as a talent, but the race just changes a lot without the entry made in. But I think as a substitute, a bigger price, he's not the worst horse in the race.
He gets the outside post. This is the rail horse, Sagamore Mischief, the 3.
Yeah, he just seems to have lost his form in his last couple of starts. He'd been in great form, but his last 2 races leave a lot to be desired. And yeah.
Thunderian, the recent form just not there as we go to the favorite.
Yeah, I mean, he figures to be getting a decent trip, a little bit behind the 3 and 6 who should be forward, and I think he's the horse to beat as you do.
Gemography making his 52nd career start.
I have mad love for this horse. He's probably going to be stalking Sagamore Mischief, and he does draw outside that one, which helps.
5-2, Lafitte's Fleet. It's Wayne Potts first off the claim.
Yeah, this is a much tougher spot, and he had a very good trip in his last start. He'd have to improve off that, but he's not out impossible. But how is he the second choice at 5-2?
Forward move, no question, last start, but against a lot easier. He's jumping up in class in this spot.
Change.
4 minutes away from this 7th. We're going to be signing off here on our FS1 coverage very quickly. You can catch the remainder of the program over on FS2. Don't forget to catch live coverage of the Gotham on the road to the Kentucky Derby on our Saturday coverage on FS2. We hope to see you then. Coming up next on FS1, NASCAR Truck Series. Again, our program continuing over on FS2. We'll have this 7th coming up. More from Oaklawn as well. Hope you enjoyed it. And again, Saturday, Grade 3 Gotham, Brad Cox with 4 runners in our ABR Race of the Week over on FS2. Welcome to America's Day of the Races on our FS2 coverage. Greg Wolf, Andy Serling, New York Racing Association handicapper, as we get set for the 7th here coming up at Aqueduct. $40,000 claiming race, 7 furlongs, and it's Life Changer, the one to beat.
I don't think it's going to be a life-changing moment at 6-5, but I think he's the horse to beat. But to be honest with you, Gemography is way too big a price at 4-1, and if these prices stay where they were, I would bet Gemography at 4-1 as opposed to Life Changer at 6-5. I think it's a lot closer than that, and for some reason they're overbetting the 7 horse, so I think Gemography is actually the value play at this point. Maybe the odds change once we get to the race.
And for those that follow Andy Serling closely, it was a sad moment today because Gemography's run, this will be his 52nd career start. I think you've picked him about 48 times or so in his career, and you did not today.
I did not pick him, but I'm going to bet him at 4-1. What, do you disagree with me? That it's supposed to be this big a difference in the prices?
No, yeah, it's a little crazy.
I mean, I know you picked him second as well. I think we agree on that. I prefer the 5, but not at this price. He's 9-2 now. Now maybe they're telling you he can't run anymore, but at 9-2, I have to bet a few dollars on him.
He ran pretty good 2 starts back, didn't he? That was a wet track though, and he is 0 for 7 at 7 furlongs, but he's been capable before.
This is a crazy price in my opinion.
Even money's a bit crazy too, isn't it, on Life Changer?
I would also agree with that. Yeah. Let's see what the exactas look like.
Oaklawn, by the way, for those just watching on FS2, we showed you that 6th race from Hot Springs on our FS1 coverage. Happy Mac controlled on the front end with a poor break from the other speed. Never hurts to get a little lucky.
Could have been best anyway, as it turns out. So,
and easy time of things with that win to kick off the late Big 5. You can play all the action today on the program and well beyond by getting signed up right there with Naira Bets. $200 deposit match, new customer bonus. Punch in that code for new members, bonus 200, and you're ready to rock right there at NairaBets.com as we get set for the 7th. So there goes Sagamore Mischief in line, Manny Franco on a horse with speed on the rail.
4-5 on the favorite now, and 5-1 on Gemography. Maybe he just can't run anymore, but this is a crazy overlay in my opinion.
Both these horses. See how it plays out. 4-5 favorite just stepped in. There is Gemography. Ruben Silvera on board. Chris Griffin with the 7th here from Aqueduct.
Beachwalker to the outside. And in. All set. And they're off. Gemography breaks with early speed, and at the rail, there's Sagamore Mischief to join this early leader. Moving right towards the outside, Life Changers just off of them in 3rd. And with that, Rivalist Thundurian is in the 4th spot. The 2 at the back, that's Beachwalker with the trailer, Lafitte's Fleet. Pace duel on the front end now as Sagamore Mischief moves right back to the inside of Gemography, and these two are well clear. They're now 4-5 lengths clear from Life Changer. The 4-5 favorite is well settled in 3rd, 23.41. Moderate fractions, but it is a pace duel up top. Thundurian moves to the inside of the favorite. They're still 3rd and 4th. Beachwalker out wider in the red cap. The trailer continues to be Lafitte's Fleet. Gemography is now back in front by a neck. Sagamore Mischief is back to 2nd. Here comes the run from Thundurian, and right there towards the outside, Life Changer's on that move as well. And Life Changer starts to make up some big ground after the leaders. Just behind that, Beachwalker is ranging up too. Lafitte's Fleet still the trailer, 46-4 for the half-mile time. Gemography continues to try to put away Sagamore Mischief. They haven't caught the top 2 yet. It's Gemography who's ahead in front. Sagamore Mischief. Here comes Beachwalker motoring down the center of the racetrack, and Beachwalker is catching him quickly. It's now Beachwalker and Isaac Castillo. They have thrust to the lead. Gemography is back to 2nd. Late run here, Thundurian to the inside of Life Changer, but Beachwalker at 8-1 is 2 lengths clear. Beachwalker from off the pace gets the score. It's Beachwalker who wins it tight there for 2nd. That was a late push there from Life Changer in a photo with Gemography in 1:24.3.
Well, the half of the entry that was scratched was the much more highly regarded, but Beachwalker gets the job done. Here's 7-year-old for David Jacobson.
Yeah, he probably shouldn't have been 8-1 or something. I think he's a bit of an overlay, but I'll say it again. Handicapping David Jacobson accurately is really you need a Ouija board to do it because they run well for 1 week, run poorly after running well, they run well after running poorly, and to me, it's a guessing game with him. Maybe there's people out there smart enough to figure him out. I'm not one of them. If you needed the 6 for second, who was a massive overlay, took a tough beat getting nailed there by Life Changer. Life Changer had absolutely no excuse whatsoever, just not getting it done, maybe picking up second. No doubt about it, winner for a horse from a trainer. This horse, last time he ran, he was practicing the gate, but he got beaten 16 lengths, and even his time before that, when second to Print Rack, it wasn't good enough to win this race. Just a very random horse.
8-1. And it was the 5 who did get second here as the 4-5 beaten favorite. 1A564.
I think we both picked him third. I don't think we're yeah, okay. Great job. I don't think we're shocked he won, and he's too big a price. But for me, this is a barn that is just impossible to have a. And I've probably done well with some of their horses, cashing some bets, but I have a lot of trouble reading this barn accurately.
I mean, yeah, you go back. And with different barns, there were some very good races there.
With Randy Persaud. But Randy Persaud has proven, look at Mia Be a Star. He is a very, I know it sounds weird because he generally runs at a very low percentage, but claiming from him is usually a disaster. And it felt like this horse was on the road to being a disaster being claimed from him. Not today.
Another upset late in the card with our feature still to come to close things out. 8-1. Here in the 7th. Going to take a timeout when we return. This would have been a good trivia question. Who's known as the 100 grand specialist? That would have been a tough one. Unless, of course, you live in Arkansas, then probably everybody knows the answer to that question. We'll have it for you when we come back. Back with you on our FS2 coverage of America's Day at the Races. Good to have you with us for the Friday card here in New York and in Hot Springs, Arkansas at Oaklawn Park. Brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. An upset in the 7th. Beachwalker for David Jacobson, Isaac Castillo. And this 7-year-old wins for the first time in quite a while.
A couple of nice prices in the last two to spice up this pick 5. You had a 2-to-1 shot in the 5th. What was the 4th? I know I was wrong in the 4th, but the favorite. But you've got a couple of nice prices, so we should have some good payouts. Good luck if you're alive.
So 8-1 here. The 4-5 favorite, the 5-horse, got in gear late, but not enough. 7-year-old son of Street Sense, able to spring the upset with the finale here still to come. So 8-1 returns $18 for the win. 1A, 5, 6, 4. Healthy pick 3 of $236 and change. As we get to the finale coming up, let's take a look at the cross-country pick 5, how that's played out so far. How about this start, if you had it? You and I both talked about the 6th at Aqueduct. Incredibly difficult to come up with that horse.
Yes. If you're alive, good luck. We hope you do well, because that was a tough one. Beachwalker at a similar price was a lot easier to come up than Brungiest. It's interesting, and they were the same price, basically.
All right, this is going to close out the Friday card here in New York. 1 1/8, allowance optional claiming field. And we talked about these two horses at the top of the show over on our FS1 coverage. Leading contender, No Burn. They are both the same price right now, 5-2.
Yeah, they're not going to be. I mean, the one is a gigantic favorite in the doubles. Around even money or 6-5. No surprise, No Burn will drift up, but be second choice.
More on this when we return. We'll take a timeout, talk Derby Trail, rolling through Florida on the weekend. Grade 2 Fountain of Youth, Dornoch. Grade 2 Remsen winner, set for his 3-year-old debut coming up. And the horse who was the favorite in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, can he bounce back off that 3rd place finish behind his stablemate coming back?
Charlatan is back, and he turns it on with 1/8 of a mile to go. Express Train moves into 2nd. Nashville dropping out of it, and then Collusion Illusion. What a spectacular return for Charlatan, who will romp in the run-happy Malibu Stakes by 4.5 emphatic lengths. Charlatan, ultra impressive.
It's a new day for a new king.
Your guide to selecting a stallion for your mare. Step 1. Make sure he's won a big, famous race.
Mystic Guide charges away and takes the Dubai World Cup.
Step 2. He'd better be very good looking. Step 3. He must have excited the support of breeders with quality mares. Mystic Guide. He's unmissable. Call Darley.
General admission tickets are on sale now for the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival at Saratoga, June 6th through 9th. Admission is just $10 on Thursday as well as on Sunday for this historic event. Visit BelmontStakes.com/tickets today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Lure running a huge race this afternoon. He's in front by 4. Brief Truce is coming fast, but he's coming too late. Lure does it.
1992 and 93 Breeders' Cup Mile winner. Homebred for Claiborne Farm. Lure, Hall of Fame inductee in 2013.
That was one of the most brilliant performances I've ever seen. Paradise Creek finishing second there as well was an incredible racehorse. And, of course, he won 2 straight Breeders' Cups. He also ran in one of the 2 great Gothams of my lifetime. One of them was the Proud Appeal Cure the Blues duel back in the early 80s. But the other one was Lure and Devil is Due when they dead heated in the Gotham. And that was one of the all-time great races between 2 terrific racehorses.
Superstar. What a great one he was. As we continue, we got 2 more to reveal.
2 more. One's tough, but you know him, I promise.
Okay. I'll work on it. Road to the Kentucky Derby, not just going through the Gotham this Saturday, also down in Florida. Grade 2 Fountain of Youth, couple of big names coming back. 50-point race to the winner as well. A purse of $400,000, and we talked going to break. Dornoch and Locked, who we expected that fierceness performance, I think many from Locked in that Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
I don't know if we expect a 105 buyer. The morning line is silly. I mean, Locke is obviously going to be favored in this race. It's worth noting that Speakeasy scratched today, actually, at the allowance race, which Shug won, and he's going to run in the Fountain of Youth along with the horse, the 3 Victory Avenue. I don't know how he's a shorter price than Speakeasy. Maybe he just thought Speakeasy would scratch because Speakeasy beat him. Dornock's good. He won't be favored. So if you like him, you will not be betting the favorite.
On the Remsen, he beat a horse who came back and looked pretty darn good in his 3-year-old debut.
And a lot of people made a lot about Sierra Leone closing on that day, and it's understandable because making outside runs, closing was virtually impossible on that day. And think of how well Senior Buscador has done after finishing a distant second, trying to close on the outside. But Dornock, who had the advantage of riding the gold rail the whole way, this was quite a game performance, battling back to get it done over a horse with less experience, which probably helped. And Sierra Leone didn't lose that much ground. He saved a lot of ground before going. But Locked was a disappointing third in the Breeders' Cup. He was favored in there. I think he's on a lot of people's list as a very, very possible Derby winner. Just, are you a little concerned that he missed what was supposed to be his first start to Sam Davis because he had a temperature? The fact that he comes back this quickly is probably a good sign.
Yeah, never ideal to lose any time on
he does come back at least.
He's quick road to this Derby, but yeah, you can expect that he's going to be fine coming back for Top Fletcher. So he'll have squeeze in 2, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I remember when, and I know now it's 23 years, but when Point Given had only 2 preps for the Kentucky Derby, a lot of people were very critical of Bob Baffert, which seems like a crazy thing to say leading up to the Kentucky Derby. And maybe some of us felt that if he had had 3 preps, maybe he would have been more ready to have won that Triple Crown, as he was the best horse in the sequence. Nowadays, they all get 2 preps, it seems. And one of the problems with handicapping the Derby is it's tough to have a great idea of who these horses really are heading into the Derby.
And a lot of times, too, that race is just an animal unto itself.
It's right, and it's a random race in a lot of ways.
Well, Kentucky Derby leaderboard presented by Spendthrift. Timberlake shot to the front with that performance from last week.
To me, he's less of a Derby contender than he was going into the race. I question whether or not he's going to be a 1.25 mile horse. Okay. I know he has a damn side of stamina. Into Mischief, though, I'm a big Timberlake fan.
Even though he did win for 2 turns for the first time.
Yeah, I think he ran well in the Breeders' Cup. I think he's a terrific horse. But he wins a Grade 1 this year. Maybe win the Arkansas Derby. I don't know. Those races, they got to stop. They have to make the final Derby preps Grade 2s. They're all the preps. They should not be the same grade as the Derby. Get together on that. It's just not the right way to grade races. But I think ultimately races like the Woody Stevens and the Alan Jerkins are more likely to be his ballot. What he'll be best at.
It's Brad Cox calling. You want to get it?
I think Brad agrees with me. I bet if I could text Brad, he'd answer me. He's very honest.
Looked impressive.
Should we text him and ask him?
First win around 2 turns and still looked like there was some greenness and room to move forward.
Of course. And I'm not knocking him any way. I'm a big fan of his. I think he's really good. I just don't think he's going to be as good as some others going 1.25 miles.
Well, most aren't, right? I mean,
yeah. Well, I think it was Bob Baffert's horse, so then none of them really want to go 1.25 miles. Yeah. You just got to deal with the hand you got, right?
Humor me now here at Oaklawn for the 7th, and a non-winner's a 2-life 12-5 claimer.
He's an odd Chris Harbin horse, doesn't have a lot of speed. He drew well. I think he's the right favorite.
Huge price. Star Nation with John Court.
Yeah, he's going to have to improve, and he has no speed.
Work Order, Ingrid Mason trains, won first time out at Fairgrounds.
I know he's a little going to drop down at a big price.
Not done much in the 3 starts since that victory. Absolute Courage, major player at 4-1.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this horse coming in from out of town. I guess not impossible, but I prefer others.
Contrabandista, trained by Randy Morse.
I thought others were better as this horse stretches out from 6 furlongs.
Did have a good race, even though didn't win at 1 mile against Straight Main's Prairie Meadows. Assumption, 35-1.
Big price for a reason. Too slow on paper by a lot.
Boogie Bodie, Aaron Shorter trains the 8.
Another horse stretching out I didn't think was impossible. Public betting a little. This is the one.
Here we go.
Talking about earlier.
Blinkers on. Trainer Dan Ward, Life on the Nile.
A couple of smart people I know like this horse, think he's had some excuses. And I'll tell you what, the apprentice is supposed to put him on the front.
This horse had shown some real talent back when he was still trying to break his maiden. Hard to come by at 14-1.
Yeah, he's hard for me to come by in here. Waiver again, second waiver in a row.
Yeah, it was the first race back in a long time. Probably wants to go longer.
Probably.
Traffic Boss at 22-1.
Yeah, he's dropping down off his last a little bit. Didn't draw well. Would have to improve.
And Ramon Vasquez, 26-1, outside Unstable Prince.
And another that would have to improve.
4 minutes to post. 7th here at Oaklawn. Starts the late pick 4. Paulie right now, Humor Me Now for Chris Hartman from the inside, the 2-1 favorite.
Well, I think I'm with Andy. I think they do have the right favorite in here, and Humor Me Now. You know, this horse did not break well. Chris Hartman didn't really love the ride that he got last time out. So now Rafael Bejarano will be aboard. And this horse has showed tactical speed before and draws great here with a lot of horses stretching out. The one to beat to me. So when I get to the 5 in here, Absolute Courage for Steve Asmussen, I'm kind of with Andy in here. I don't get it. You know, 1 for 19 lifetime. The one win was at 60 cents on a dollar in a 60 buyer in a maiden 12-5. This horse has been voided claim a couple times. He's lost by a nose a couple times. You know, I know the Asmussen barn's on fire, but I can't take that horse at 4-1. You know, even though the 1 is 2-1, I just think that's just a way better proposition. Now to get to your horse, Andy, the 9, Life on the Nile. I literally was sitting right here, and Dan Ward, when the horse was walking over, he said to me 3 times, gate to wire, gate to wire, gate to wire. I said, what are you talking about, Dan? And he just walked away and looked back at me. So, yes, they're on the complete send here. He likes his horse, and they're going to try to take this field on a merry chase. There is some pace in here. A lot of horses stretching out, but Dan said, I don't care. We are getting to the front with the Bug Boys. So, you know, 7-1, if you like your chances in here, you're getting a good price in here, and I couldn't argue. You know, Danny usually is very, very sharp. This horse has never had blinkers, but the horse is 1 for 19 lifetime. And you know, at the end of the day, when you look at that kind of horse, I just think the 1's the horse to beat. And just a little note on the 6 in here. Carlos Barbosa in the last race was on the 5. The 5 actually dumped him after the wire. The horse and rider are both fine. Carlos actually went to first aid, and he was completely fine to ride, and just shows you how tough these guys are. He's back on the 6 in here, who looks like that he has a little bit of a shot in here, and it's 1 for 15. There's a lot of 1-fers in here. That's why I landed on the 1. But I would not argue with you guys liking the Dan Ward runner. Might be leading for a long way.
There is not much speed in this race, is there?
No, he's supposed to be in front with a clean break. For those people who don't know who Dan Ward is, he was a long time assistant to Jerry Hollendorfer, went on his own earlier in 2023, I should say.
Back to New York. Finale on the Friday card begins with this horse right here, leading contender for Chad Brown, Klarovich Stables, and Manny Franco.
It begins with him and it probably well ends with him. He's a very logical type horse. He's got enough tactical speed, put himself in the game, but he's not forwardly placed. And it's Manny's job to get that position. Probably best getting him off the rail. His last race, he was compromised. It was a racetrack that was heavily biased. He wanted to be forward. He wanted to be near the rail. He couldn't get him the rail. He ended up wide the whole way against the race. The winner was able to suck up the inside and get lucky to win. And it just was the wrong track for a horse like that. I think getting back to a fast track, obviously he can run his race 2 back. He's going to win this race. His other races make him very tough as well, very logical. I'll try to beat him with no burn without a ton of confidence.
Well, this is leading contender, winding up second here in those red and white soaks of Klarovich on that wet track before this race. 99 buyer in a victory on the fast going at 1 1/8. He's the 6-5 favorite. Let's go downstairs to Acacia.
And I'm interested to see what he will do in here, cutting back a little bit, because I do think that a little bit less ground could actually suit him, not to mention getting a chance to run on a track when it's not super wet like he did last time out. But he's like a coiled spring here in the paddock. That's how leading contender always is. Walks in, you can just kind of see that energy bubbling underneath the surface, which I always love to see that. You like to see a horse that's on the muscle a little bit more, marching around, has confidence in the paddock. Terrific muscle definition, but he's not the biggest kind of imposing type of physical that you would ultimately often expect to see for a horse running longer distances. So I think that this is a good spot for him, and he's been running consistently throughout, and will try to build off of that second place finish. Not to mention, he can be a little bit forwardly placed from the inside. I think the two No Burn, as Andy mentioned, though, is a major player in this spot. He was second last time out behind Law Professor, who would come back to win again with a 100-buyer speed figure in his subsequent start. No Burn has a great record at this distance, 3 for 6. He's a horse that just always seems to relish going the 1 1/8 miles here at Aqueduct. He has a short clip on him too, so typically in the winter you'll see horses maybe start to get a little bit wintry, a little bit woollier, and when you do get a chance to kind of clip their hair, you can see how healthy they are, and he's definitely a picture of health coming in here underneath all of that, and he has speed as well. He's a horse that I think is going to find himself in what he prefers. Not to mention, he's a horse that likes a wet track, but again, I think he will be happy to get back onto a faster track as well, like No Burn in this spot, Greg. And we'll see if he can build off of that second place finish as well.
Thanks, Keisha. Back to Oaklawn.
Ooh, filling the gate.
7th coming up here. Non-winners at 2 Life, mile and a 16th. Talked about the 9, Life on the Nile, stretching out from a sprint. The plan, according to trainer Dan Ward, lead them every step of the way with the blinkers going on, stretching out. 9-2. Price coming down now on that 9, Life on the Nile. The apprentice, Joey Belmere.
It's Oaklawn. He can still be favored by the time the gates pop.
Matt Dinnerman with the call.
We're ready to go. 1 1/16 miles to start the late pick 4. They're off. And going to the front, Life on the Niles got early lick. Absolute Courage close, and Work Order quicker than those two is in control early. Absolute Courage takes a hold of the bit, takes second. Life on the Nile 3 deep. Those 3 stretched across the track now as they go into the turn, with Boogie Bodie setting up shop right behind that leading trio. 2 off the pace and a good spot down on the fence. Another 2 back to Hard to Come By, racing alongside of Traffic Boss. Contrabandista in the white jacket, 3rd last, with Humor Me Now a little bit keen on a hold. And Unstable Prince is 3rd last. He's running 8 lengths clear of a pair that are well behind Assumption, Star Nation. Those two very far out of it down the backstretch, over 20 lengths behind. So they head down the backstretch run. Life on the Nile and Joe Belmer in front. Absolute Courage and Keith Asmussen from the inside, pressing a half length back. A gap of 2 to Work Order. Settles off the speed with a half mile to go, running in the 3rd position. Next is Boogie Bodie, still racing alone. Hard to Come By stays on the inside. Traffic Boss, Unstable Prince are next. Humor Me Now begins a rally. On the outside is kept out of harm's way, running about 7 behind, attempting to pass horses now. Contrabandista shaken up 3rd last, and then Stardation and Assumption, both runners never picked up their feet. Coming to the quarter pole, Life on the Nile is shrugged off. Absolute Courage, who calls it a day. Work Order takes the 2nd position, and 3rd Boogie Bodie riding the rail off the turn. Humor Me Now is on the extreme outside, still has to get going as they come down the lane. Boogie Bodie and Martine Schwann putting up a nice rally now, and they pass a weakening Life on the Nile, who's leg weary. Humor Me Now battling with Unstable Prince and Contrabandista, but Boogie Bodie has got it, and Boogie Bodie has won it. Boogie Bodie by about 3. Good battle for 2nd. Life on the Nile held off Unstable Prince. Contrabandista was 4th across the line.
Boogie Bodie with the win. Martin Schwann, Aaron Shorterbarn, and this 4-year-old wins for the 2nd time, 10 career starts.
Another stretch out, able to get it done. It probably didn't matter, but, you know, it's a learning experience with bug riders. The trainer wanted to be clear. You don't rate 3 wide, and I get it. He didn't want to go too fast early, I see, but sometimes you're just better off clearing. But he's a 7-pound bug rider, and he rode the 2nd best horse anyway.
Back to New York Post Parade, and here's the favorite leading contender with Manny Franco.
Yeah, we discussed it. He's the worst to beat. 6-5. Well, probably not that fair.
Got
unfair
a tough customer here, though, next door, No Burn.
Yeah, he's his chief rival. He's the 2nd choice. 7-2 is a very fair price.
Rob Atras, first off the claim. Mystic Knight went by, and here's Kuchar.
Yeah, Mystic Knight not impossible. Kuchar's not impossible either. He was against the track last time as well. He's a big price. He's
Rocco Strong, big win in the mud last start.
Can he run back to his last race? He was super last time.
I Am the Law, Jose Gomez for John Terranova.
I Am Not the Law, and he needs the lead to be his best. He's not as good as last year, and he's not getting it from this winner.
Speedster DJ.
You want a horse coming in front? 20-1, he's your guy, but he's probably not good enough.
And Alternate Reality on the outside, 20-1.
Yeah, I just think even his best effort's a cut below these, but he's been in good form, to be fair.
He has. Big price on a horse who has some ability. 6-5 favorite, though, leading contender. What about the disparity just between these two? 6-5 on the 1 and 7-2 on No Burn the 2.
Yeah, I mean, I assumed that's why I picked the 2, because I assumed you'd see this kind of disparity, to be honest with you. So I'm not that surprised it's this big a disparity. So, I think it's a fair price. And you got to realize, look, Chad Brown is going to be a much shorter price than Oscar Brera. I don't mean this as a criticism of Oscar. I like Oscar a lot, but they're betting on guys. This guy wins the Eclipse Awards. Oscar's not that kind of guy. So even if they have the same horse in here, I think you'd see Chad's horse be a lot shorter price. And one of the reasons I like betting a horse, like No Burn, you get that because Oscar's done a great job with this horse. So I have no reason to be worried about him coming in the race. Oscar's done great with him.
Good race to close things out, JK, on our Friday card.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go with the 6, I Am the Law. And I understand Andy's point that this horse is not as good as he once was. But I do think that if you look at this horse's past performances, you can kind of make some excuses as you work backwards through his races, and you can kind of end up getting back to that good race. And at a big price, I don't have to do too much convincing. Say last time it was a sloppy racetrack, and then he had a little bit of time after that. The time before that, a sloppy racetrack. The time before that, off of a layoff. The time before that was another start that sent him to the sidelines for quite some time. So just maybe they've kind of got him going back in the right order now. And at a big price, if he can run that race from 5 races ago, he could be competitive against this group. Now, that's a big question, and we talked about that, Wolfie, last week, that kind of hoping. But you're getting paid to hope here. If you're right, you're going to get paid. It's just not a smart thing to do in hoping for something to happen when a horse is 6-5 or shorter than that. So I'm going to go with the 6, I Am the Law. Not this is a horse that I absolutely want to cut in line to bet to win, but I do think that there is a ton of value in what? It's 5 o'clock. That means it's happy hour somewhere. Acacia, 10 strike, 10 strike, 10 strike.
I could use a little of that to warm me up out here, JK. But just quickly on I Am the Law, he's a horse that's usually a very, very hot and sweaty type of horse prior to his races. Maybe he just thrives in cold weather, which we know I am challenged by. But as far as the 5, Rocco Strong does go, this is a horse who Andy mentioned, very impressive last time out. I think that he should be able to improve off of that effort once, not improve, but continue on with the good momentum that he has been showing, at least lately. Can he repeat that 93 Beyer speed figure? It was faster than anything he's run prior. That'll be the big question in here as he steps up to the next level of competition. But he has checked all the boxes from a physical perspective. He warmed up beautifully under Kinda Carmouche, and I noticed watching his replays that he has a horse that takes a little bit of time to get going, not the most fluid of movers, at least from right off the bat, but he warmed up really nicely out on the track today. He's a horse that kind of broke running. He settled nicely, though, after that. He can kind of be placed wherever Kendrick wants him to be. He could make himself very interesting as far as the top, reaching the top 2 if he's able to run back to that last race. And from a physical perspective, Greg, it looks like he's being able to hold on to that good form he's shown as of late.
Keisha, thank you. And wow, even money now on the horse leading the way to the starting gate. And as you said, with these connections, you expect it.
Yeah, I mean, they win a lot of races. People gravitate to them, which is why, as a handicapper, you're always sort of looking for the opportunity to find somebody else in here, and that's why I went to No Burn. I think 7-2, he offers value versus the 1 at even money. I'm not saying the 1 is a massive underlay. Maybe he should be 8-5 in here. I know you think he's probably supposed to be kind of short, but even money seems like a lot.
I think that's way too big a disparity between the 1 and 2.
Right. That's why I picked the 2. I believe if they were both the same price, I would take the 1, but that's not what this game is about. This game is not about picking winners. This game is about the endless search for better value, you know, trying to do better. With a takeout, you lose 20% if you sort of break even on the game. You got to find ways to sort of be ahead of it, and I don't think you're ahead of it if you're betting horses like the 1 at 4-5 at even money. Maybe the 7-2 is probably supposed to be 3-1 or 5-2. You're getting a little value, and you've got to find at least some value versus the takeout to stay afloat in this game. It's a tough game, and I think sometimes people say, you know, bet a horse because you like it, and that's not what the game is about. It's about trying to find horses or prices. Sometimes bet your third choice. Listen, I don't like Jonathan's horse at all. I'm not going to knock an 18-to-1 shot. I don't see him, but you want to find a price and bet him? Good for you. Go for it. You don't have to win those too many, and I think the idea is to be right as infrequently as possible and still find a way to make a few dollars.
Which you can do. The great thing about this game. This race in a slight delay. Let's go downstairs to Acacia for more.
Yeah, Greg, and you will see the starting gate when it is brought out onto the track. It's done so by a tractor, and it looks like they're struggling to get it unhitched and being able to move that tractor out of the way to be able to load the field in. You need to be able to move it quickly to get it off the track once they load in, and the starting gate crew has just closed all the front doors, so it looks like we are all hitched in properly and set to go and starting to load for this nightcap.
We wanted a little something exciting to have. Vacation's going to come up all the way from Florida to hang out with us for a couple days. And by the way, we love having her back. She's really here to see those Clement horses run tomorrow. She sort of latched on, but we're thrilled to have her back. But we gave her a little fun, extra fun.
First of all, she is a rock star.
We love Acacia.
Fully came here for Saturday, and then we said, "Oh, do you mind working for us as well?" Yeah, no problem.
She is the greatest workhorse. She will do anything, no doubt about it. Absolutely, she works as hard as anybody I know.
We would have asked Andy that question, and it would have been dial tone.
Well, I just like to sleep. Acacia gets up early. Like, Acacia tells me she's like hot yoga at like 6 in the morning. I'm more likely to be going to bed.
4-5 favorite, leading contender, trying to win for the second time in 3 starts. No burn, a major threat, though, right to his next door. And Jonathan going with the price. I am the law of the 6. We're set for a good nightcap here in New York on our FS2 coverage. Chris Griffin, the call.
Alternate reality, last to load here towards the outside. Field of 8. Close things out. And goes in. All set. And they're off. Off a little awkwardly was DJ towards the tail end of the field. Good speed from Rocco Strong, right out towards the front, and no burn to the inside of that one. These two into that first turn together. At the rail is leading contender as they drift out there. That was Kuchar, who drifted out just a touch, is in the 3 path. But DJ is going to be very wide here. A tough opening quarter for DJ, who is now rushing up to the outside, makes it 3 across the racetrack. In that second grouping there is I Am the Law, who's in 6, is 3 wide in that group. Second to last is going to be Alternate Reality with the trailer. Mystic Knight. They start to sort themselves out. No Burn has got the lead. No Burn, 24.43 for that opening quarter mile. DJ, the big price, is out in the center of the racetrack, is now challenging for second, is in between horses. Here comes Rocco Strong. At the rail there is leading contender, is in the 4th spot, is a shared 4th there with Kuchar, who starts to progress now in the yellow blinkers. I Am the Law. Jose Gomez is in the clear, is back there in the 6th spot, is 3 lengths in front of Alternate Reality with the trailer at the back end of the field. Mystic Knight, 48-1 for the half-mile time. Down towards the inside is No Burn. To the outside, it's Rocco Strong. Rocco Strong and No Burn take them into the far turn together. Here comes the move from Kuchar, who's now in the 3 path, is coming after these leaders quickly. Up on the outside is DJ. At the rail, all in is leading contender, who's trying to rally on. Also trying to make up some late ground is I Am the Law from the back. Alternate Reality, nothing from Mystic Knight, who's tailed off. It's No Burn, who's still fending him off, and No Burn reaches the top of the stretch. The rail is open here for leading contender, who's trying to push on through. Center of the racetrack comes Kuchar, who's got some momentum. 4 across the racetrack as Rocco Strong is still in for the fight as well. It's Kuchar who's now challenging, and Kuchar's put a nose in front and now a full length in front. It's Kuchar who's sprinting away. Kuchar is now alone in first, is up by a length and a half. Rocco Strong, leading contender, No Burn, late run, I Am the Law. Kuchar's almost there. Kuchar with the 4 wins the finale. Kuchar wins it over leading contender. Then came Rocco Strong in a photo with No Burn in 1 minute 52 and 4.
9-1, Kuchar with the upset, an even money favorite, beat here in the finale.
Well, he was wide against the gold rail last time out. He didn't run as well as leading contender, but he didn't run that much worse. And leading contender was even money, and he was 9-1. We both picked him 3rd. He was a solid price in here, and he got it done with outside trip. And, you know, I'm a big Manny Franco fan. And listen, he did draw the rail, to be fair. But we've just not seen horses gain momentum on the inside in the last couple days, and the momentum has been the outside runners. And I wonder a little, and he did shift out, if And the post didn't help him, but I wonder a little bit if being inside hurt his chances.
Kuchar turning the tables on leading contender, finished ahead of him last time out, not by much though, with a tough trip. Only beat a half length. Second start back off the bench, and wins for Rudy Rodriguez, LSU Stables, and Ruben Silveira at 9-1.
Yeah, Ruben had a couple of nice wins today, and this one's not covered in the pick six. Very odd that the 2, 4, and 8 weren't covered. Now, the 8 was a long shot, but I'm not exactly sure. First of all, this horse should have been half the price that he was. It's lunacy that he was. This horse lost by, a half length last time to leading contender, and he had a wider trip. So just based on that, he was an overlay, and we did talk about it in the post parade. And everybody was sort of an overlay because of the one's odds. But the idea that he wasn't covered and horses like the 6 and 7 were covered in the pick six is sort of crazy, right?
Surprising, but little extra incentive to play this card this weekend on Saturday. Pick six carryover in Gotham Day here at Aqueduct. 4-1, 5-2. To finish things out, we got more coming up, including the feature still ahead from Oaklawn. 9-1. Kuchar turns the tables on the even money favorite. Back with you on our Friday coverage. America's Day of the Races on FS2. It's brought to you by America's Best Racing for the love of the race. Visit americasbestracing.net today. An upset to close things out here in the nightcap in New York. Kuchar with the victory at 9-1. Our winner's circle lead-in brought to you by the Fasig-Tipton's March digital sale. Bidding open March 7th through March 12th. Learn more at digital.fasigtipton.com. Let's get digital.
Ooh, I like that. That was good, right?
Makes me think of Olivia Newton-John. Kuchar with the win here, but not that far behind the even money favorite first off the bench.
Listen, I didn't pick him. You didn't pick him. We picked him third. But this is kind of what we talked about going towards the gate and looking for value. He shouldn't have been twice the price of Rocco Strong. They should have been similar prices. I'm not saying he's supposed to be 3-1, but he's probably supposed to be around 9-2 or 5-1, somewhere in that range. He was an overlay. Doesn't mean he had to win, but he was an overlay. And the way to have a chance to be successful in this game is to be able to spot overlays and not be afraid to bet them, even if you don't think they're the likeliest winner. I bet no burn. He ran okay. No real excuse.
Pick 5, $4,728. Pick 6, carryover into the Gotham card on Saturday. Just shy of $20,000. So we look forward to that on a terrific card Saturday. We hope you join us for that coverage with our ABR Race of the Week on the road to the Derby. Cross country, Pick 5 follow along. So the Aqueduct portion in the books with 3 big numbers. I got to think very few still alive to this point.
Close to $500 for 50 cents. So we get another 10-to-1 shot home. And we could be looking at a carryover in that. Oh, they pay 4 or 5? There's no carry. Okay, 4 or 5. But tough to be alive. And if you're alive, I am rooting for you. I don't know if that makes you feel any better or you care at all, but I'm rooting for you.
Everything helps. Every little extra bit of good mojo. We'll get back to Oaklawn 8th when we return, approaching the 8-minute mark to post. Up next, 6 furlong sprint. Conditioned claiming race. Fillies and mares 3 and up. We got a 6-5 favorite in the 7 Demi. Stay with us.
Has won the hopeful.
Eclipse champion Run Happy, price for value, and standing strong at Claiborne Farm.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Number 1 is Mo Donegal by Uncle Mo. And they're off in the Remsen. As they come on for the finish, and it's going to be tight here in the Remsen. Mo Donegal bearing down on the outside. It's Mo Donegal and early voting, and it is Mo Donegal to win the Wood Memorial. And it will be Mo Donegal to win the Test of the Champion, the Belmont Stakes.
And DeHaas is coming to Kiragashi. Urgent request is nothing left. Spinning World is right there. And on the far outside, Mark of Esteem has still got a lot to do. It's the American DeHaas with a 2-length lead. Spinning World trying to reel him in as they come down to the finish. But the victory goes to DeHaas in the mile.
Oh, well, you know the story of DeHaas, the winner in that 96 Breeders' Cup Mile. He was off for 715 days. Returned in a race that was written for him just so he could get a prep in at Colonial Downs to then win again at the Breeders' Cup Mile in 1998.
The genius of Michael Dickinson getting this horse home. And he was a tremendous horse, and I think a lot of you might have forgotten that he could run well in the dirt as well, and he finished a good second to Talkin' Man in the Gotham, and Talkin' Man went on to win the Wood Memorial, and he's a good trivia answer. He was actually the favorite in the 1995 Kentucky Derby, Talkin' Man, but DeHaas finished second to him, but obviously much more famous for winning on the grass.
13th in that year's Breeders' Cup Sprint, DeHaas. True talent slide, yes, on the grass.
A tremendous racehorse.
What a great story.
Yeah.
Our ABR Race of the Week is the Gotham, coming up on our Saturday coverage that we just learned. We'll have a Pick 6 carryover as well. Brad Cox will send out 4 runners in this year's edition, including Bergen, Lightline, and just a touch. But we did mention a couple of Christophe Clement runners, including one that really caught people's attention last summer at Saratoga.
To Deterministic was very impressive in here. Eliminate was actually, I believe, a short price in this race. Deterministic blew the break. He was wide. It wasn't really conducive that day to that kind of running style. And he made a long, determined run to get the money as he's on the far outside here. Ran down a horse that ran an 80 Beyer in defeat, that ran a 91 his next start, and then an 84. This race has proven to be a very, very strong race. And, you know, to win a 7-furlong race in your debut in early August as a 2-year-old and get an 80-plus Beyer is an accomplishment. And to do it closing after a bad start is another great accomplishment. I think a lot of us thought this could be a Breeders' Cup quality type horse. He had an issue that kept him out, but he's back. This is asking a lot. But keep in mind, he's been working well with Pandagate. And Pandagate got an 86 Beyer, an impressive win last weekend against New York breds. Deterministic's the real deal. Now, whether or not he's ready to win the Gotham off a layup is another story, but this is a very, very good horse.
Tough spot to come back off all that time away. So just that one start, August 12th, as a 2-year-old at Saratoga, but it had people talking in this sport.
And, of course, his sire, Liam's Map, was owned by Vinny Viola, who's part owner of this horse along with some others. And, you know, Liam's Map was an incredible talent. I understand they wanted to win the Breeders' Cup race. They went in the mile. I'll always regret he didn't run against American Pharoah. I thought his loss in the Whitney to Honor Code was up there. It wasn't quite as good as Seattle Slew's loss in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, but I think in the pantheon of great races in defeat in Grade 1 races, important races, Liam's Map is very much on that list.
And you know, we don't know what ultimately he's going to wind up being, this horse, Deterministic.
Sure.
Even if he's a horse that wants to go that far.
Right.
But, you know, it's always tough to get horses to that first Saturday in May, just time constraints. And now this horse really up against the time constraint with all that time lost.
No question. I mean, he'd have to run very well in here, come back in a race like the Wood Memorial, win it, really, to go there. And if it doesn't work out, listen, Tonalist, who potentially was a Derby contender for Christophe Clement, he fell behind the 8 ball, so he waited. He won our Peter Pan. Then he won the Belmont. I feel like his career worked out pretty well.
Two-time Jockey Club Gold Cup winner as well.
Cigar mile winner, won Grade 1s at 1.5 miles, 1.25 miles, and a mile. Not a lot of horses have done that.
Speed on the rail here in the 8th at Oaklawn, Veliki.
Yeah, he does feel like he has some speed, but I think he's going to be outrun in this field.
Twirling Tigress, a big price with Walter De La Cruz.
For good reason.
16-1 next door, Shanghai Express.
Should be speedy, Twirling Tigress, Shanghai Express. I guess not impossible, but just theoretically dropping a little bit.
There's a silver lining, had back-to-back wins in September, November.
Off the claim for Dan Ward, who's had some success in sprints. He's 3 for 11 off the claim.
Collected Glory. There's some form back at Prairie Meadows last year.
Yeah, I just don't trust that form at Oaklawn.
Surprised it's this short a price on Demi?
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, especially, well, the problem is fast pace or not. This horse has absolutely no speed, and I always worry about these types at short prices.
Does drop in class. Sweet Mother Mary at 6-1.
Closed to win last time.
Wings from Above. Wants to be forward. Probably going to be in the lead.
Yeah, this horse is, if not in front, will be stealing with the 2, Twirling Tigress.
Lady Dreamer came off the bench, ran very good on a long layoff.
Yeah, but the Delta form and Evangeline form usually does not translate to Oaklawn.
And Code for Success, Rafael Bejarano having a big day.
Yeah, it's Chris Hartman, so I'm never surprised. But much like the 7, this horse is a deep closer.
7-2 right now. Second off a short layoff for this 5-year-old mare on the outside, Paul.
Yeah, Code for Success right now at 7-2. And, you know, for Chris Hartman, he had a horse in even money in the last race. It just did not fire. Now, this horse draws the complete outside, going 6 furlongs. And, you know, last time this horse ran, it was a good race. We'll show you the replay. You know, did not break well at all, which we did not show you from the inside slot. And then Rafael Bejarano just kind of worked himself a pretty good trip. Now, I know this was a sloppy racetrack on this day. It favored turf closers, even though they went pretty slow on the front end. They came home, it was 113-2. So this is a kind of a tiring racetrack, but you know what? She did it, you know, the way she was supposed to do it. I mean, she won the race nice at 7-1. Now you're getting 7-2 today. You know, the 7 horse in here, Demi, you know, who I originally liked, you know, going into this race, I just don't know at 7-5. If you go back to that race 3 starts ago, yeah, it destroys this field. But again, she was 39-1 in that race. But she has a couple races to go to that probably bury this field. It's just whether she can get back to that, Shea Stewart has gotten off to a slow start of the meet, but a couple of his horses run really, really well. I think that this horse wants to be, and it looks like wants to be a sprinter, so I think this horse has got a good look. I thought the 3 and the 4, I thought the 3 was very interesting here for John Horan, who sent out some big long shots at 21-1. And then the 8 in here. I know that, JK, you like the 8 a little bit in here. Sweet Mother Mary for Todd Jordan, another horse coming off a W, off the claim from Doug O'Neill, an affiliate by West Coast. It's going in the right direction. And, JK, you're getting your price.
Yeah, and look, I'm not cutting in line to bet horses off of Doug O'Neill. I think he's one of the best trainers in the country. But I will say this horse did get a fast number last time, and I think that when you see that jump up, you like to know why. Where's the jump up coming from? And I think when you can look to a trainer change, sometimes that's just what it takes. Look, it's not necessarily an indication of who a horse comes from. Sometimes it is. But it can also just be a change of scenery. Just a change up a little bit can give that reason for a filly or a colt or whatever to improve or to find a new kind of a second wind, as it were. And that's just, it looks like Sweet Mother Mary could be one of those horses. Ran fast last time. So at a nice price, I take a look at that. I've got no problem with the 7 Demi as well. Probably bet down a little bit shorter than I would prefer. But to me, it's one of those two horses. Whether you want to go with the price or go with something a little bit shorter, I'll ultimately side with the 8 Sweet Mother Mary to see if that last effort was a real effort.
8-1 on there, and there she is, Sweet Mother Mary, the 8, 4-year-old filly for Todd Jordan, and that was a big effort, big move forward last time out.
It was. I would want to see it again, but no doubt that was a big figure last time, and it's a good enough race to win here, so I can't knock them for taking a shot to get her again. You sort of, last time feels like the wedding to me, but she's a big price, so it's not as though you're not getting paid if you're right about her again, and she did run well. I will not disagree with that at all.
Lots to like, though, with the 11. Isn't there a code for success?
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather take the 11 at 3-1 than the 7 at 7-5. I think the 7's worse to beat, but I don't trust it. I don't want this horse, coming from that far back. I like a turn back, and I like her turning back, but I just think this price is a little on the short side.
Matt Dinnerman in the call. Here's the 8th from Oaklawn.
2 back, Collected Glory into the outside. Code for Success. Code for Success coming up to the gate. We're ready to go. And they're off. The favorite Demi was away last and is at the rear of the field after that. Twirling Tigress from the inside, wings from above. These two get acquainted on the lead, and they put 2 lengths on Teresa's Silver Lining, who runs in the 3rd position. Lady Dreamer outside of Velicki. They're side by side, 4 lengths off the pace as wings from above gets to the rail and establishes a clear lead. Teresa's Silver Lining moving up with an aggressive move to take the 2nd spot. Twirling Tigress taken back to 3rd between horses. Lady Dreamer outside, and Velicki is inside of that pair into the turn. A gap of 2.5 to Code for Success. Shanghai Express has already come under a ride. Sweet Mother Mary right behind her, and a gap of 6 to Collected Glory. And Demi has a lot of work to do as they round the far turn. Teresa's Silver Lining comes away with the lead. Wings from above plummets back. Here comes Lady Dreamer on the outside at a big price, 29-1. Lady Dreamer, Teresa's Silver Lining down the stretch together. On the outside, Lady Dreamer. On the inside, Teresa's Silver Lining. Lady Dreamer drifting to the center of the track. Teresa's Silver Lining still battling, and he's out finishing her now. Teresa's Silver Lining pulling away under Harry Hernandez. Teresa's Silver Lining to win by 2. Lady Dreamer was 2nd. Demi from 4 out of it gets 3rd. Code for Success 4th.
Dan Ward-Barn off the claim with the victory, 6-1. There's a Silver Lining.
He's now 4 for 12 off the claim since going on his own in dirt sprints, with 7 hitting the board, with an ROI after this horse wins of over 250. So congrats to him. We didn't get him home in the last race, but he got the money here. And if you're gonna try to close from dead last, as Demi was going to try to do, it helps to get out of the gate with the field. When you break 3 lengths behind them, you make your job even tougher. So at the end of the day, yeah, maybe Demi was best, but you cannot get left like that and have a chance, especially if you're coming from the clouds.
It was a one-off that horse had. I know it was a drop in class for sure, but there was that one monster race that was 3 starts back. Public was all over that horse, though, not to be. 6-1 upset here in the 8th. There's a silver lining. Flurry Racing Stables for Dan Ward and Harry Hernandez with the victory at 6-1. One of those prices coming up. Featured race is next. Competitive sprint for 3-year-olds at 6 furlongs. And we'll talk this horse, the Pride of Arkansas. No double. So many big moments in a terrific career and at stud as well. More on No Double when we come back on America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage.
Top of the lane, and it's all hands on deck for Hansen now. He has to dig deep and find more, but he is. Creative Cause now. Here's Union Rags, and look at him stride out in the center of the track. And Union Rags went wide throughout, but he's coming. Creative Cause. Hansen is running an absolutely huge one on the inside. Hansen just keeps on going. Union Rags is shifting to the outside. Creative Cause is third. Hansen keeps going. Union Rags, Hansen, and Union Rags. Hansen, the more they asked, the more he gave, and Hansen won a thriller.
Three for three start to Hansen's career, holding off Union Rags, who, of course, would go on to win the Belmont as a 3-year-old. He was fast, and he was tough on the front end.
Always loved to see Ramon in one of those big races as well, as he held off the undefeated and highly impressive Union Rags, who was heavily favored at even money. Big Hansen fan. Hansen came here and won the Gotham. Coming back and
second in the Bluegrass.
Yeah, I think he tripped a lot of people up. He just doesn't get the respect that he deserves.
He was very good as a 2-year-old.
He was. He was a fun horse, though. He had some fun connections, too.
We have one more to reveal?
No, that's it. That's 5.
Oh, that was 5. Okay, my mistake.
It's okay. It goes 1, 2. We'll talk about it later.
Very funny. Yeah, I would not have got. I certainly would not have got Tasso.
I remembered Hansen partly because I picked him. To be honest, he came to me as I was going through the Breeders' Cup juvenile winners because I figured that was the most likely place to find him.
I remember Hansen. I just remember in the Gotham. There's a silver lining back at Oaklawn, 6-1.
It was on the inner, by the way, when he won it.
Okay.
It was a 2-turn race in the inner, much like it was when Stay Thirsty won it. Yeah, congrats to Dan Ward. We didn't get him home in the prior race, but he won this one off the claim. Maybe watch him off the claim. Now 4 for 12 off the claim with Dirt Sprinters. Nice ride up the inside. Tough beat if you have the 10 as a long shot. And trying to come from dead last at even money is not a great chore, and it's made a lot harder when you don't get out of the gate.
6-1 on your winner, $15, 20 cents for the victory on a cross-country pick 5 that's already been, I'm not going to say impossible, but extremely difficult to put together.
Well, it's close to a $15,000 parlay for $2, which makes it around almost $4,000 for 50 cents. I wonder, you know, usually the will pays are listed on Naira Bet, so let's take a quick look and see if they're up.
And the last race, by the way, to close it out, 6-furlong sprint, 3-year-olds, allowance optional claiming field, not easy, even though you're going to see Alder here at 8-5 for Brad Cox.
It's wild. The 3 horses 4-5. The 1 is 22,000. The 2 is 4,500. A little on the low side. It's 45,000 for the 4. Everybody but the 3 is covered. Good luck if you are alive. I can't believe it. I mean, the parlay is literally like 3,500 for 50 cents.
What's the 10?
The 10 is 5,687. So there's some of these horses were shorter prices in the pick 5. Got sharp players out there, no doubt.
Wow.
You like the 10?
There's a few to like in here. I think it's tough. Cats by 5 ran a huge effort for Steve Asmussen, but yeah, Risk It has run some huge ones too. This horse was second in the Iroquois, the second start of his career. He has Derby points.
I certainly think he's a contender in this race.
I think Nick Storm's interesting.
I think Nick Storm is absolutely interesting, getting back in the dirt. I think he's a very, very interesting player. I had the race. What about, I mean, Adler? Adler's obviously pretty good. I'm not going to knock him. I think he's good. But I think you're right about the 7. I thought the 7 was the most interesting horse, Nick Storm. I love the idea of him getting back. And keep in mind, he comes out of that race that Bergen was in, and that race was collapsing. He was on the pace, and Bergen is shown to be pretty good. So I think Nick Storm, I'm going to be convinced to bet a few dollars on him.
14-1 in this race coming up. Well, his Arkansas Derby win was over 50 years ago, but still to this day, no double is the pride of Arkansas. In addition to winning Oaklawn's Premier Derby Prep, he'd go on to win and beat competition coast to coast, east and west, including big ones like the Big Cap at Santa Anita and the Met Mile here in New York, earning along the way the nickname the 100 Grand Specialist.
This is the Arkansas Derby that was won in '68. That's my mother right here, my father. My dad was Gene Goff. He was basically in the oil business. He was in Australia and had read up on the English bloodlines and all. So he bought 41 horses and brought them to Australia. The last horse he bought was No Home II. No Double was in the first crop, and he actually ran in a $7,500 claiming race at Detroit in September of '67. When you win by about 13 lengths, they take a notice. You go to the head of the class real quick. And then went to the Arkansas Derby. This is a no double scrapbook my father, Gene Goff, put together of some of the clippings. He set a track record at Belmont, set a track record at Santa Anita. He equaled a track record at Hawthorne in Chicago. The biggest race, I think the most exciting, was probably in Detroit. Won the Michigan Mile. He beat Damascus, Horse of the Year, and was 5th or 2nd off track record in that race. He became known as the 100 Grand Specialist or the Arkansas Traveler. This is very interesting here. This is a map that Pebb, the great artist, drew. This is called the Arkansas Traveler. It's no double scale. His average weight was 127 pounds. He won $846,749. The Goff of Arkansas, named after Goff. A lot of memories, a lot of memories. Oaklawn, they've named a barn after him, but the greatest memory is in the lobby of the Oaklawn Hotel, the trophies. It's really something to see. No Double is the biggest Arkansas bred. He was twice Older Horse of the Year. In 1981, he was the leading sire in the world with 16 stakes horses, the most that anybody had, and the most progeny earnings, $2.6 million that any stallion had had. He bred some good horses and all, and he's not in the Hall of Fame. He's an Arkansas bred.
What a great story. Two-time champion older male by Thoroughbred Racing Association. as a 4- and 5-year-old. And yeah, as you heard in that story, after retirement, became the leading sire in North America in 1981.
Okay, that is my favorite feature. I love
great,
that.
Wasn't it?
He beat Damascus in the Michigan Mile. I mean, anyone doesn't know how good Damascus was. I mean, Damascus was a horse that was holding his own with the Buck Passers and Dr. Fagers of the world. He won the Belmont Stakes by the Travers maybe by 22 lengths. He won the Belmont Stakes here at Aqueduct, actually. And that's a great story about a terrific, terrific horse. I don't care where he was bred. I love that.
Big cap, Met Mile track record time. Brooklyn, I think, carrying 127 pounds is the high weight.
Well, they said that was his average weight, and people understand. They say $100,000 specialist. I think the Whitney was $75,000 when I first started going to the track in the mid-'70s, and this was less than a decade before that, but still, what a racehorse and how many miles he put on and ran. That was a great feature. I love that.
Race named in his honor is coming up tomorrow on the Saturday card at Oaklawn. Race 7, 6 furlongs, $150,000 purse for Arkansas breds. And Lockmore will line up along with Bohemian Bow. Those look like the two to beat in this race.
Yeah, I don't have my PPs in my hand, so I apologize. I did do the work on this card, but I'm looking for, I agree with you about Lockmore. He looked pretty tough in here and felt like the one to beat in this race. Peace Dog's okay as well. A couple of Archie bred stakes tomorrow, right? Good allowance race in between.
I got the Down the Dusty Road as well.
I always think of that ELO song, Down the Dusty, isn't it? I think there's a song like that.
Okay.
It's a big fight.
I trust you.
I'm trying to remember. I felt like there was an overwhelming favor the Down the Dusty Road, but whatever. Go ahead.
Well, this is Lockmore and Peace Dog back on February 9th. And Lockmore, second off the bench, had a huge effort off a long time away. Maybe, I know you don't believe in it a lot, maybe a bit of a bounce effort there because he ran so huge off so long away. He's been very good at Oaklawn. 4 wins, 3 seconds, 10 starts.
You know, the good Archie breds don't bounce. I'm just letting you know.
That's true. Willow Creek Road, King Peanut. This was on May 6th of last year. In stakes competition, Willow Creek Road would just outduel King Peanut at 17 to 1.
How do you not love a horse named King Peanut?
Mac Robertson, Eduardo Gallardo will be aboard. Going to try and turn his form around because not been the same horse since he's come back. Take blinkers off, trying to get back to that sharp form that he had early on in his career. That is coming up tomorrow. Race 7 on the card on really just a great Saturday. Obviously here in New York, but Oaklawn as well. We hope you join us.
Oh, no, I agree. It's going to be a fun day with the 4 stakes here with the Gotham, talking about Oaklawn as well. That I mentioned the allowance race between the 2 stakes is a good one as well.
Main event on this Friday card from Oaklawn. Coming up next when we return. Stay with us. We'll be back.
War Dancer, New York's leading turf sire again in 2023 with standouts like Barrage at Saratoga.
Here's Barrage with a final surge. Barrage got him.
War Saichi dominant on the dirt at Finger Lakes.
War Saichi has scampered well clear. War Saichi all the way with the top spot.
And Danzig Queen on the tap of the surface at Woodbine.
And Danzig Queen will come away and win by a length.
Consistently producing winners on dirt, turf, and synthetic. War Dancer, proud to stand in New York.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Vino Rosso coming back on the inside of Title Ready. It's Vino Rosso and Title Ready. And Vino Rosso is prevailing here in deep stretch. We haven't seen him since the Travers. He comes back to win the Stymie under Johnny Velasquez.
Vino Rosso alongside these two at the 16th pole. Vino Rosso has taken the lead, and it's a vintage performance by Vino Rosso.
Well regarded is the road to the classic, the Stymie, Vino Rosso. Wow. What a year he had in 2019. And you know, going into that classic, had that heartbreak of getting DQ'd in the Jockey Club Gold Cup.
Yeah, that was a tough call. I thought the stewards made the right call, but I could understand the frustration over that call because we've seen horses stay that do similar types of herding. Regardless, he still ran well in that race, and he ran very well when it mattered. And it all goes to the Stymie. I mean, I don't know how anybody, considering the breed, I don't know why these guys went to Saudi when they could have run in the Stymie. I'll tell you what, Saudi Crown would have been very tough in that race tomorrow.
Ooh. I think so.
I would have liked him in there.
He ran huge in Saudi. Stymie
Racing
coming up,
trip.
race 8 on Saturday card. 1 mile. And you look at the field that will line up. Castle K. This has been a nice horse for Rob Falcone.
Yeah, I needed him last time at 25-1. Tough beat for him. He ran very well, and he had a wide trip in the Cigar Mile. A similar type trip to one Senior Buscador ran, and he's been in great form. I think he is the horse to beat, though obviously Petulante coming in off the layoff as well, but I can't knock his effort.
Well, don't worry about missing out on 27-1. You'll get 2-1 or lower tomorrow.
I won't be betting him tomorrow. I pick somebody else.
He has faced,
I may not tell you, though,
top company, 3rd in the Grade 2 Cigar Mile, but really just running in huge form for this barn.
Agreed.
And nice to see this barn with a top-level horse. Main competition could be this guy here. Petulant here, outside post, moving to the Rick Dutrow barn. Has won 3 in a row, including the Grade 3 Salvatore Mile. Haven't seen him since June of last year.
And he was scratched out of a mile race last week, vet scratch. We'll see if he can come back in here, drawing the far outside. He's obviously a very talented horse. This is a good race. Trademark finished 3rd here, came back and won the Clark towards the end of the year. So this was a very, very good race, and he's a good horse and drew well on the outside. I didn't pick him either, but I like Rick Dutrow's other horse in here a little bit on the rail. Kinetic Sky.
Interesting spot to bring back off that long away. Meanwhile, Quality Chic, Kinetic Sky, they met December 31st. It was Quality Chic second, beat an neck to Krupe, and Kinetic Sky not far behind.
Yeah, I think Kinetic Sky was very compromised in the toboggan. The way it was run, he was not on the rail. The race was won, dominated up front. He was against the track, and he didn't run his race. Thought he ran extremely well in defeat in this race behind Krupe, who came back and ran a respectable 3rd in the Pegasus. So I'm kind of optimistic about him, and hopefully he can bounce back. Didn't love his post-draw inside, but I thought his price would be right here. It's a very competitive race. I thought both this and the Tom Fool are super competitive races.
Race 8 tomorrow, 4:34 Eastern Time. We'll have it live for you on our FS2 coverage. We hope you join us on Saturday. Don't forget Pick 6 carryover as well.
How can you not join us? And the MIG's going to be here, too.
Just keeps getting better and better.
It's going to be incredible. Please.
Back to Oaklawn. Feature race coming up. We were touching on some of the horses who have shots in here. It's a lot more wide open than just Alder, the 2 for Brad Cox, and I think Risk It for Steve Asmussen outside it right now is the 8-5 favorite.
I completely agree. I'm very curious to hear what Paulie thinks about Nick Storm, a horse we like. I think he's a very, very dangerous horse coming in for Ben Colebrook.
Bergen. Alder obviously getting that huge figure on a wet track at Fairgrounds.
That's the thing. Now, he did run a big figure at Ellis Park on his debut on the dirt. No, not a dirt. I'm sorry. He was a non-star. Yes, the first time he was considered a starter. He obviously ran very well that day, but the big figure in a wet track bothers me. But he has run well in 2 of his 3 dirt races. But I don't know that he's supposed to be that short in here, and I don't love Risk It. He's okay, but I don't think he's supposed to be super short.
Well, this is the race that has Alder getting all this attention. Second beat a neck on this sloppy seal track at Fairgrounds. 81 buyer.
Yeah, hang on a second. The horse that beat him was a speed horse, the Donegal Clam. I mean, okay, he ran an 86 buyer, no, an 81 buyer as well. But he had run a 74 before that, and I think he ran in the 60s in his next start. So I'm not sure I totally trust this field, and wonder if they all ran a little better on the wet track, to be honest, Greg.
Tough call. And then you have Risk It outside, one of a couple in the race for Steve Asmussen. Look, talk about battle tested of anybody in this field. That would be him. He'll get Lasix today. This was the debut Saratoga last summer when he went off as the favorite and won by 4.5 lengths first time out.
Yeah, and you know, he had the run of the race. This was on, I want to say this was Alabama Day, when speed was dominant throughout the day, and he ran well. But he's run okay since then, but he's not an Aspen horse that's really gone on with it. But I think that Steve is realizing sort of the error in his ways, and not blaming him. It's probably the connections as well. Wanting to have a Triple Crown type horse. He's a gun runner. Why wouldn't you be stretching him out? But the reality is he's more effective sprinting. Now, he ran fair in the swale. It was a race that collapsed, so he was on top of the pace. The pace fell apart, but still, the other speed was fourth in there at 6-1, so it's not like he outran the other speed. Long Shots ran 1-2. The horse who was fourth, okay, he had run 75 and 77 buyers, and he ran a 71, so it's not, you know, he ran a little bit worse, but he's probably going to have to run better than a low to mid-70s to win here, and he's 8-5.
Take a look at the field. Frost Free will kick things off. He's faced the very talented Valentine Candy on a couple of occasions.
Yeah, and he ran a better figure in a sloppy track last time, but overall he does have to get a bit faster.
Brad Cox, Godolphin's Alder.
I'm not knocking him, but you kind of want to see it on a dry track, especially at that price.
This one tough to make, Leo Springs.
Yeah, I didn't like him here. Thought he was in tough.
Decent appearance, though. Andy's Candy blinkers on. He was third to Valentine Candy.
I do like Candy. So there's that. He's not impossible. I thought he'd benefit getting back on a dry track.
Yeah, I thought sneaky good, that horse. The 6, Cats by 5, huge figure at Fairgrounds as well. That was on a fast track.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why he's 5-1 in here. He ran the big number. The problem is he's only got one other fast number. For the most part, he runs slower races.
Nick Storm, 2 very good starts, first 2 of his career, and then ran bad on synthetic.
Love him getting back to dirt. Synthetic, the trainer is 20% with a 290 ROI, synthetic to dirt.
Henro got away from the Southwest winner, Mystic Dan, and then he broke his maiden.
I'm always scared of Chris Hartman, and he ran fast last time.
And here is Risk It, who is graded stakes placed.
He's okay. I'm not... I won't be surprised if he wins. I wouldn't take 8-5 on him, though. I think this is more interesting horses at better prices.
Let's go to Paul for more on the feature.
So what do you do with this feature race here with Colts and Geldings, 3-year-olds here? Well, the 2 Alder, right? I mean, the horse is taking a ton of money, but every time this horse has gotten to the racetrack, it's been under 2-1. So horse has been fancied in any one of his races. And, you know, his last win was very good. So you have a lot of horses in here that just really ran their top. If you look at the 2, career top. If you look at the 1, career top. You look at the 5 who was scratched, the 6, career top. You know the 9, career top. There's a lot of horses in here coming off their career top efforts. But these are also 3-year-old colts, so you don't know if they're going to move forward or not. So the 2 in here at 2-1, I'm not kind of in love with that horse at now 5-2. Now Risk It on the outside will get Lasix for the first time. And, you know, Andy, like Andy said, I thought he ran fair in the swale. Now, he does get the cozy outside draw with the 2 scratches. He will land in the 8 slot. And I would think that, you know, Keith Asmussen will have this horse, I think, on stock patrol. If you look at the second race, you know, the first race, this horse went gate to wire at Saratoga. Then they tried the Iroquois going 1 turn mile, and the horse stalked, and I thought ran well west of Saratoga. This horse been behind Track Phantom, so very good competition, obviously, for Risk It, and that's why probably that he's now your favorite in here. I think your guys make a good point on the Ben Colbrook runner. He does not ship a lot of horses in here. He stays glued kindly at Keeneland, and he trains his horse. His horse won very nicely first time out on the dirt, and the price is right now at 11 to 1. Martin Schwann will be aboard. you know, JK, I know you like the 7 a little bit. I'm going to throw a horse out there I like. I'll tell you right now, you better not throw out this one, Frost Free. You know, this horse actually last time out with the blinkers on was ready to roll and actually was pulling Ramon Vasquez around. And he was trying to rate. I think they got to go in this field, and I get it. He's going to have to be much better in here. But I'll tell you what, right now, he might get to the front end in here. I know there looks like there's some speed, but I'll tell you what, the 1 might be the horse to catch. So I'll take a little shot at 15-1, and you're taking a little bit of shot here at 12-1 with the 7.
Yeah, well, Paul, look, it sounds like you're trying to find the winner of this race, and I am too. But I don't think I speak for just myself when I say I really want to know what kind of candy Andy likes. He strikes me as a candy corn licorice type of guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are the 2 that he enjoys the most. I'll let him answer that, but my bet is licorice or candy corn. I like the 7 Nick Storm quite a bit. And before I get to that, I do like the 6 Cats by 5. Looks like a very tough horse in here at 5-1, but I couldn't get past the 7 Nick Storm. If you look at Nick Storm's first race back in October as a 2-year-old, that number is not too far off from what these other horses have kind of been running. And then you see the mile race that probably was a little bit too long. Then you see the synthetic race that at a short price where they didn't run well, then gets time off. I think if you can dismiss those last 2 efforts, go all the way back to that first start, suddenly Nick Storm, who's getting Lasix for the first time for Ben Colebrook, makes a little bit of sense. I'm going to go with the 7 on top. I think the 6 is interesting. And the world wants to know, Andy, what kind of candy is it?
Well, I will tell you, Jonathan, I hate to disappoint you. I hate licorice. I don't like Twizzlers. I don't like the way they feel. I don't like the whole thing. Now, candy corn. I do
what
like
about
candy
Whoppers?
corn. Anybody that's seen me recently can tell I like candy. Not a big Whoppers guy.
Okay.
Snickers.
I mean, that's...
Like Snickers. Baby Ruth. Yeah, I'm a big Baby
Watch
Ruth fan.
Caddyshack, you might not
Yeah,
feel the
no,
same.
Even after Caddyshack, I had no problem eating a Baby Ruth. It didn't bother me at
Very
all.
underrated candy bar.
Yeah, no, I'm a big Baby Ruth guy. You know, I really don't. You know, whatever garbage they want to feed me, I pretty much eat.
I got to tell you, so, look, the horse we're talking about, Andy's Candy, I thought this horse was a major player in here. He's getting bet like it, too, 5-1 right now.
First
and
of all,
he gets back on a fast track for the first time in, 4 starts?
Mm-hmm. Is he a little better going longer? His 2 best figures are, buyer figures at least, are in the mile races. And he was a turn back last time. I do not think he's impossible. I'm not in any way suggesting he's, and I think this race is relatively wide open. I could see the 2 winning. I could see the 4 winning. I could see the 6 winning, the 7. The 9 and 10, really all of them, I don't want the favorites. I bet the 7, Nick Storm. I think this is exactly my kind of horse, okay? He wins his debut going 6, wins it pretty impressively. You know, October of his 3-year-old year, he runs the kind of figure with routine improvement, puts him right in the hunt here. Then he goes in a mile race, and he makes a big middle move in there. It's a race that ends up falling apart. Bergen ran great. Informed Patriot came back and ran 7 buyer points faster in his subsequent start. And he tired a little bit at the end. Well, he's more of a sprinter type. Then they decided to take a shot at Turfway. I get it. The purses are pretty good there. They're in Kentucky. Why not? Well, he's not a synthetic horse, so who cares what he did? Now he gets Lasix for the first time. He's coming back against these. I think he makes a ton of sense in here, and he's 9-1.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about too much coming off the bench. He won first time out anyway.
Right. I mean, I don't
9-1.
Do I love him? No, but I think he's a perfectly viable alternative in this race, and he's 9-1. I mean, of the possible winners, he's the 3rd longest shot on the board right now, and I don't think he should be. And as I said, Ben Colebrook, he is 0-4 coming to Oaklawn, going synthetic to dirt, obviously to dirt, but he has he has been second twice at big prices in there. So he's outrun his odds. It's not like he's underperformed. And overall, he's 10 for 51 synthetic to dirt, 20% with a 290 ROI. So he is delivering. And do you know what horse he was the original trainer of? A horse you asked me about earlier.
Earlier on our program?
No, I thought maybe you or somebody else did. He was original trainer, Ben Colebrook, of Nick's Go. When he won the Breeders' Fraternity at Keeneland, and he was second the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Everybody talks about Nick's Go as though it was like, you know, Brad Cox turned a claimer into a Breeders' Cup winner. He was a Grade 1 winner as a 2-year-old. I mean, all he did was set him the lead. That's what he did. I mean, he obviously did a good job training, but I don't think it's some
got him to a little bit of a better level.
Well, I don't know. You win the Breeders' Fraternity and you run second the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. You're at a pretty high level early in
he
your
was a
career,
good
aren't
horse,
you?
yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm just saying, he was at the top of his class as a 2-year-old. He's not some joke that Brad turned around from winning claiming races. That's all I'm saying. He went the wrong way, but Brad gave him time and turned him around. I feel as though Brad sometimes takes unfair criticism, personally, but that's just me.
Sounds like he gets too much credit.
I don't think he gets too much credit. I think he's a really good trainer. No, I think people suggest that, he's got some magic wand or something that he uses to turn these horses around.
So 8-1 Nick Storm.
I don't think that was the case with Nick's go at all.
Well, 8-5 seems, in this as we talked about, and you talk about all the horses you thought could win. Paul even throws in the 1. Should anyone be 8-5 in here?
No, and I don't. He's, to me, is a Steve Asmussen horse that hasn't. Yes, they went longer, and he's probably better shorter. But at the end of the day, he seems to be one of these Asmussen horses that was very good to start his career that didn't go forward. The great trainer, but every horse you have isn't going to improve for you, right?
See how this one plays out. Friday feature from Oaklawn, 8-5 on Risk It outside. Last saw him in the Swale. Forward, backed up against Frank's Empire. His son Keith rides. We're set for the feature. Matt Dinnerman, the call.
Here's Risk It at 8-5 currently. Those odds could change, but that's where we stand, and we will have a delay as number 1 Frost Free is restless in the. Well, actually, no, that might be the two. That's Alder. That's number 2 Alder who's restless in the gate. So we're going to have a delay here, ladies and gentlemen. A delay into the running of this race. Number 2 Alder, restless in the gate.
Now we saw a jockey hop off, assuming that was Christian Torres, and Alder issues in the gate. So, and that 3 there has been backed out. Leo Springs, they took out Frost Free. And you're going to back everybody out and try and attend to this horse for Brad Cox. And obviously delay here for this feature race going off. Can't quite see what's going on with Alder. So meanwhile, everyone backed out of the gate, and there he is. So finally got him extricated from the gate, which is the best news here. And everyone's walking away from the gate right now.
So I think the 607 train is pretty much out of the discussion.
So the 2's been taken off the board. Takes out one of the, this was one of your favorites. Was vying for favoritism in this race. And a horse that wasn't going to be up on the lead, but was not going to be far off it.
No, I don't think this changes the dynamic of the race. You've still got horses like the 1, 9, and 10 that figure to be forward. Whatever, who knows?
All right, well, let's go back to Paul with more.
Yeah, an unfortunate situation here with Alder. Actually, Dr. Williams sitting right next to me. Actually, she made the call to the gate, and then you could hear the gate person said, I recommend that the 2 get scratched from the gate, just slash it around in the gate. And you're right, Greg. Sometimes we forget when some of these horses get trapped under the gate, it could be a very dangerous situation, obviously for the horse and for the guys that are standing in the gate, but everything okay. It looks like they were getting Alder out of there, make sure there's, no scratches or everything, and the rider Christian Torres got off. They're just going to walk around a little bit, give the public a little bit of time here to just, gather your thoughts and see what you want to do. Now the 10, your heavy favorite. If you're live in these pick 5s, 10's going to go off as your favorite here at 6-5, and glad that everything's okay with Alder.
All right, thanks for that update, Paul. Yeah, that's the best news of any. We saw Alder out of that gate, okay, walking under his own power. So hopefully see him back another day. But, it could be a dangerous situation, no question.
Yep, just glad everybody's okay.
Well, 6-5, Risk It. Asmussen, son Keith rides. There he is in the middle of our screen. Wins first time out at Saratoga. We showed you that race. Second in the Grade 3 Iroquois. And then they kind of, with that performance, sort of had to stay on the Triple Crown trail.
No, yeah, you can't blame people for doing that. What I like is the fact that Steve's taken a step back and said, you know what? He's not a router. He's a sprinter. You know, similar what he did with Jackie's Warrior. You know, they tried him, it didn't work, and now you try to sprint him. What I don't like is that he didn't run particularly well when they sprinted him either. I'm just not sure he's that good, and I think he's a terrible bet at 6-5. I don't think he's a bad bet at 6-5. I think he's a horrendous bet at 6-5. I don't understand how you look at his form and think he looks like a 6-5 shot in this race. It is just way too competitive on paper. Could he win? I suppose. Should he be about 3-1? Yeah.
It's dropping out of Stakes Company.
Okay, but he didn't run that well in there, did he? What about his form recently makes you want to take 6-5? And listen, maybe I'm wrong.
I don't want 6-5 on him, but
no, I know.
Forward in the swale against better company.
But the speed ran fourth, and that speed was 6-1. He was a bigger price than he was. So I don't know. I mean, yes, I think he can win, but I think that 6-5. If you're betting him, I'd like to book him at 6-5. I'd gladly book $100 on 6-5 right now. Do you know anyone?
All of us like the 7.
Want to bet him?
We all like Nick Storm. Or not all of us, but you and I and John.
Ernie Munich does. He likes him.
Enro, we saw with that ability against when he got away from Mystic Dan. We're set, ready to go. Late scratch of the 2.
Vleroff, frost free from the inside, bounced into the bridle right away and opens up 2 at once. So a good getaway for him. He opens up 2.5, now 3 frost free. And now Ramon Vasquez is trying to ration his speed. He's very quick. A pack of horses about 5 lengths off of him. Risk It joining stablemate Cats by 5. Nick Storm is next, just racing ahead of Andy's Candy. And then comes Henro. Leo Springs drops to the rear as they go into the far turn. Frost free went the opening quarter in a swift 21 and 4/5 seconds. Frost free the leader by 3. Risk It comes out of the crowd to take second. Cats by 5 under a ride. So is Henro, and then comes Nick Storm, who's trying to mount a rally as they round the turn. Andy's Candy 7 lengths behind. Leo Springs well behind as they hit the quarter pole. Risk It has come under a hard ride. Frost free. Let's see if he can keep going. He went the half in 45 and 2, and he's still clear out here. Frost free with a furlong to go, turning on the afterburners. He's now 5 ahead as they come to the 16th pole. Frost free 3-4 ahead now and finishing strong. And Frost free and Ramon Vasquez win the feature on the Friday card at Oaklawn. Cats by 5 was second. Risk It third. Nick Storm fourth.
Frost free. Ramon Vasquez. Paulo Duca made a case for this horse, said he'd be in front. He was. He goes gate to wire at 6-1.
He came out of the gate like somebody shot him out of a cannon. My God. I mean, he went fast. This is the kind of horse you wouldn't have been surprised if he collapsed. He never stopped. It was a very impressive performance by him. And as far as the favorite, he was terrible. He was overbet.
Frost free leads every step of the way for the win. Here in this 9th, that was impressive. He was like a rocket ship out of the gate.
You think it was fun today? Wait till tomorrow. It's going to be
We strongly encourage you, to join us tomorrow, our Saturday coverage with a terrific card on Gotham Day here from New York, and Aqueduct with a Pick 6 carryover, and a couple of stakes as well, including that no double breeders and down the dusty road from Oaklawn. Frost free, like a bullet out of the gate, does not look back. For Brett Crichton with Ramon Vasquez to take this feature, there's still a nightcap to come. You can see what happens there at NyraBets.com. We're back tomorrow. 3 Eastern start time on FS2. So we will see you then with coverage of the Grade 3 Gotham on the road to this year's Kentucky Derby. It's our ABR race of the week. We will see you then. Our feature today, it was leading contender, a very short price, did not get the money. Kuchar turns the tables on him. His second race back off the bench in a big performance. Coming up tomorrow, just a touch for Brad Cox. A maiden win, that's it. Start number 2 coming up. He'll stretch out. 1 of 4 in the race for Brad. Bergen as well. Jimmy Winkfield winner. And El Grande O. Does Linda Rice have a Derby contender just missed by a nose in the withers? We'll cut back to the mile distance on Saturday.